Hey, greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ninth season of the Timeless Gamer Show, where our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain timeless. And the show is now streaming live in Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And for all of our archive videos of previous episodes, you can still check them out by going to the YouTube channel of Timeless Gamer Show or the Facebook page as well, or you can still just listen to us talk, the audio version of the shows anyway, by going to to all major streaming platforms out there by searching in the Timeless Gamers Show. And for previously on the Timeless Gamer Show, we have discussed some uh, what were they, Sir Joel? Underwhelming sequels, were they?
Yes,
Yeah.
we we spoke a little bit about underwhelming sequels, the things that we were looking forward to, that we were hyped for, but it turned out to be less than what we expected. So that was a
Mhm.
previous episode, and you can check it out in our archive of excellent streaming podcasts, either on Spotify or on various podcast platforms. Back to you, Joe.
All right, thank you for that, Sir Joel. So for this particular episode, we're going to do a long-awaited sequel, really. Uh, the beat 'em up games, part two, specifically all of the beat 'em up games after 1995. The first one that we did was way from from season one, like 3 years ago, and we haven't really followed it up until now. And we have Sir Viraj to thank for that. And yeah, so I'll just gonna Sir Viraj will be manning the ship for tonight. So I'm gonna toss it back. I'm gonna toss it now to him to introduce everyone in the panel and just go nit and gritty with all of the games that we have for this evening. So Viraj, take it away.
All right. So obviously we've done the beat 'em up genre before on the show. We covered it long before I was even part of the panel. So they're saying we've already done it before. But I think we need to look at the new modern beat 'em ups, how they've remastered them, how they've enhanced them, how they've made continuations of them, how they've brought them back to life, resurrected certain franchises. So I think we should definitely talk about them. And there's been a resurgence of this genre in the last recent years, which I think is very important to cover because they're I think the reason for this is developers or indie developers have realized these games are, in terms of the 2D format, they're very easy to program, generally speaking. I say easy loosely. There's a lot more detail compared to what we had in the 16-bit era in terms of what they've put into them, and we'll also be covering all these games in due course. And they can get a good return on them. And also, the great thing about beat 'em ups is they're not drawn out games or really long, like RPGs. Like, because who's got time to play them? Some people got nothing better to do. But who's got time? I mean, as we're adults and we're working, we just want something to pick up and play, and just put down and have a fulfilling, ride with. And I think that's what beat 'em ups offered, and it gives you that some of them give you that arcade feel that you want. So yes, in this particular show, we're going to be talking about more modern beat 'em ups we may not have covered before that might be classics, and what they can offer us. Now, we're going to start the show with Miss Porter because she's got something to say about her games, and I'm going to let her sort of lead with the first bout of her beat 'em ups that she wants to talk about. Let's begin. Over to you, Miss Porter.
Hi everyone, happy to see everybody back again. And I am here today to talk about my favorite beat 'em up games because it is actually my favorite genre. So my first game is actually Die Hard Arcade. If anybody's familiar with that one, I was able to play that game originally on the arcade, but there it is actually known also as Dynamite Deca 1, not 2, because that the second part is Dynamite Cop. The first one is just Die Hard Arcade. So the arcade one was released in July 1996, and it was ported to the Sega Saturn in 1997. And then there's also a remake sometime in the year 2006, I think, on the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 under the Sega Aegis 2500 series. So this was developed by, well, of course, Sega. And its plot is actually you play as John McClane, as you see there, and Chris Thompson, where you try to save the president's daughter from the terrorists. So, just looking at this game,
Isn't
this
isn't that the plot for for Time Crisis
yeah,
or Resident Evil 4?
yes, that's what I was thinking because it's actually deviated from the movie. It's not really well. He is actually just saving one person, unlike in the movie, you are trying to save people from the Nakatomi Plaza building. So this one, it's just one person you're trying to save. So you can see there, you can get different objects there. Like he just used a pistol and now he's using a broom. This is interactive, as you can see. And by the way, just a tidbit of information here. Apparently, from what I've read, Die Hard Arcade is the first one to use like a textured 3D graphics of some sort. I
I
forgot.
thought
I
you're gonna
forgot.
say the first. I thought you're gonna say the first game to use a broom.
No. Oh, by the way, you see there, that's a feature of this game. It has lots of quick time events. I know some people like it, some people hate it. I'm not sure where you are on that topic, but me personally, I like quick time events, and this one made me enjoy such feature in any games. So, like what you call this? God of War has quick time events and other modern games. So yeah, it's my favorite thing in this particular genre, the quick time events. There, he even got the grandfather clock and threw it like it was nothing. It's not heavy. And there he is holding a rocket launcher. So it's anything goes here. There are different levels as you progress through the game, different kinds of enemies, and different design of the stages. You can also see that there. I think that's the boss in that level. There are different types of bosses here. And what's good about this game is, well, I think for beat 'em up lovers just like me, it's really a fun ride. But the bad thing I think in this one is, considering it's old and it's for the arcade, I guess the difficulty is designed for you to lose because you have to insert lots of coins on the arcade. So there's that kind of challenge to prompt the player to spend more on playing this game. Oh, there's another quick time event. It's actually a variety of quick time events. Also, I think the game is short because I know I've replayed this game like last year. I streamed this one, and I think you can finish this in under an hour. It's that quick. It's very short. And another bad thing here is there's no Hans Gruber. It did not
Ah,
want
there you.
to.
Oh,
So
it's a shame. I think that's to do with licensing, and there's only so much that Fox were going to give when this game came out. 'Cause obviously, it was called Die Hard Arcade in the West, but obviously it was called Dynamite Decker in Japan or something, as you mentioned.
yes.
So they couldn't get
Ah, all right. I was going to ask that.
yeah. So it didn't have the rights there, but and it used obviously it as a game. Sega. I know it sounds really nasty me saying this, but Sega didn't. So you got Model 1 hardware, if you know what we're talking about. That was their first 3D arcade engine. That was called Sega Model 1, and Virtua Fighter was the game behind that. And then you had Sega Model 2, which is the update from this. This one uses something called Sega Titan Video. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, so Sega Titan Video is something it's basically an underpowered budget Model 2. So it's somewhere between, a more sort of better graphics with textures, but still better than Model 1, so it flows better. So it doesn't push the Saturn to its limits or to that nature, but it was actually a very good game for its time in terms of the way it looked and playing. There were very few games of its kind. So I do remember playing this. Sadly, with regret, I don't have this on my Saturn. I missed out on this particular game. But you're absolutely right. It's less than an hour long in terms of gameplay, which then spans the greater debate, which is how long should a beat 'em up game be in terms of gameplay length? How long from start to finish? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4? Yeah, that's the real question here, isn't it? And I suppose
Yes.
when you're playing a beat 'em up, you're using a lot of concentration and focus. Because you're going to have to keep attacking, and sometimes it can be tiring playing an arcade game from A to B. But you know that criticism aside of less than an hour gameplay, it's all about quality, not quantity. I always felt about beat 'em ups. I kind of felt that. That's me. Everyone's got their own opinion on it. But I do think this is a very, very, a very, very good game for what it was and its time. The question is it a game that people have access to, or is it something that's easy to play today? Has it had any re-releases since the Sega Saturn console port? That's the question. And it's just, I don't think it has it? Has it?
There was actually a remake from what I've seen online. It's under the Sega Aegis 2500, and it's actually a remake, not just a remaster. And the character looks like Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah, I don't know if they could use his likeness on the box, but yeah, it's based on his character, I guess. Again, they'd have to pay Bruce Willis like $100,000 just to use his likeness back then. They had to change the way he looked. But yeah, okay, fair enough. But I mean, that was on the PS2. I mean, games like this should have more re-releases. I think Sega. That really comes down to Sega licensing and how they want to do it. And I think the re-release wasn't even called Die Hard Arcade, was it? I think it went by the original name because they'd lost the license by then. I don't know. I could be lying, but I don't know.
I'm not sure myself.
When I mentioned Die Hard,
Mm.
because there's an actual Die Hard for the PS1 and Saturn, and that was like a real shoot 'em up game than a beat 'em up game.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at the actual video footage here, and it reminded me of Dynamite Cop for the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
And
the
I'm
sequel.
guessing this is basically just from the same engine, and they just used the Die Hard name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? Was Sega just dick riding the popularity of Die Hard when it first
Oh,
came out from the
absolutely,
movie?
yeah.
I mean, it's perfect marketing. I mean, Dynamite Decker. I mean, what's that? It's Die Hard. It's
How it gonna sell, right?
Die Hard. Yeah, exactly. Die Hard is like a popular movie franchise.
I mean, I don't remember John McClane fighting robots like
You've
this.
got to have some creative license.
Right.
I mean, you've got to do something extra.
Really? Your copy didn't have your copy of the movie didn't have that. Mine did, but then again, I got mine from the CD Capo places. So
Look, it's creative license. Video games. I don't fault any developer for taking their own artistic license on the movie as long as the game's good, and you want that escape, and that's what this game gives you, and that's where it wins. So I like this game. It's a good little game for the Sega Saturn. It's expensive as well to collect for if you're a Saturn collector, but
I just have one request. If they ever remake this game, anytime that they actually show you failing a quick time event, I want the Stephen Hev voice coming saying failure, the way that Asians do it, the way that we Asians do it. You, John
Emotional
McClane,
damage.
exactly. You, John McClane, you missed out on that quick time event. Failure, I want that one.
Emotional
Yes,
damage.
exactly.
Emotional.
Oh, hang on. They have to do one thing. This
Mm,
ain't Die Hard if it's not there.
mm.
Does he crawl inside an air vent?
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember, but I don't seem to recall any
And takes his
air,
shoes off as
air
well.
vent something.
Nothing,
And
right?
oh, but he
Well,
has to
yeah.
say his tagline. Yippee ki I'm not
Yippee-ki-yay,
gonna say that. I'm
Not
not
in
gonna
this
say it.
one. It's on the trilogy, but not on this one,
Ah, that's too
unfortunately.
bad. Okay. But
Sega
yeah,
can only afford so much.
that's true. That's true. Although it does look good. It does look pretty good. I mean, heck, I'll be first to admit the beat 'em ups are not my genre my genre of choice. It's not my forte, but I can recognize a fun game when I see it. When I'm looking at the footage here right now, Die Hard Arcade that we are showing on the video portion here on Timeless Gamer Show, it looks like
Mm.
something that I would have a lot of fun with, for quick bursts, just to sit down, beat things up, kick everybody in the head kind of silly fun. Yeah, and the engine notwithstanding, it being semi 3D in the way in its presentation, I think of it as a side-scrolling beat 'em up version of Virtual Cop, and
Mm.
I'd still definitely have a quick burst of fun with it if I'm like I'm in between conquering worlds in Stellaris, or is exploring the caves of Skyrim. This is something that I would usually that it looks like I would definitely have a quick burst of fun with at
Mm.
home. So yeah, excellent recommendation, Miss Eileen. I think I'm gonna put this in my queue.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely one that I have. It's sort of re-brought back on my radar.
Hmm.
I've got a modded Saturn with an ODM drive in there, and this game's on there, and I haven't actually
Up
given it
here
a
we
chance.
go. Failure. Okay, there you
Uh,
this
You've
guy,
been dead.
whoever is doing the video, the recording of the footage here, he fails every single quick time event.
it might be a tough game. I mean,
It could be. I
like
don't
it.
know. I'll have to ask Miss
It's
Eileen about that.
actually it's
But like,
actually doable. I'm not sure why this person can play this game properly.
Maybe it's because maybe it's funny, just
Yeah, it could be,
doing it
could
on
be.
purpose.
Yeah, it
Yes.
could be. But he does. He fails every single quick time event. Like, man.
I
It's
mean,
actually
Anyway.
proven
Doable.
what I
accomplishment.
really like about this particular game is when
Mm,
early during the era where they're experimenting with 3D games, which is when this game
mm,
was developed, as you can clearly see. I remember when I played Virtua Fighter, and I thought this is some floaty, slow game. What's going on?
mm,
This
mm,
has obviously similar graphics. But this is fast. This is
mm,
pushing that hardware, and it's pushing. It's got speed to it, and that's what I liked about Sega. You had that fast action gameplay, and
mm,
Tryhard Arcade clearly from just looking at it here, how he's playing, it looks good in terms of how you're sort of how he's. You can see the John McClane character punching up this boss here.
mm.
It's just he's just going at it, and it looks like quite a fast game. So
So
that, but
I'm going to ask with Miss I. So you play the game. How is the hit detection here?
yeah,
Mm,
Because that can make or break a beat 'em up game.
true.
that's
I would say it's pretty good actually, but it's
Mm.
more on the, let's say, amount of enemies you have. You really have to concentrate on one enemy and try to avoid the others, just like any beat 'em up games. But
Right.
the attacks do land properly.
Mm. Okay.
Right. With Dynacop 2, with Dynacop Dynamite Cop 2 in the Dreamcast, I remember the characters have their own unique special moves. And this
Mm.
is Sega. Does this one have their own special moves, or you just punch and kick? That's it, nothing else.
I think it's
Does you
just punch and kick, and
really?
like you see
John
there.
McClane doesn't even do a Shoryuken or a
No,
Hadouken.
but from what I read earlier, they said that there is like a move set here. Have you seen the uppercut? There is like Shoryuken.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did saw the uppercut.
I think it's more on button mashing, and it just triggers something. It doesn't really require a sequence of buttons and arrow keys or directions. It just triggers on its own, I think.
oh okay.
Right.
But you got some accessories. You got sort of guns on it. You can shoot people. You can get beaten with weapons as you expect. But I like this game. It looks interesting. But obviously, it's an arcade style beat 'em up anyway. So
I had a quick look at the PS2 version, actually, Miss
Mm.
Aline, off screen, and it follows the original moves pretty quickly. It's just the graphics have been upgraded, and
Yeah.
it moves just as fluidly. I think I might give it a try sometime. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a quick bit of fun over the weekend. I'll give it a shot.
Hope you have fun with it.
very cool. All right.
All right, so
So
that's
between the Sega Saturn or the PS2, so the
Mm,
PS2 would be better.
Yes, I
mm.
think.
No, just get the Sega Saturn one because I know you're rich.
And then that's yeah. Miss Eileen
No,
is
no. Playability. Playability wise.
Yeah.
You know,
Get,
I,
get it or play it
I
however you.
could care less about the graphics if the gameplay's bad. So
Mm,
Yeah, because sometimes you get a remake, a remaster that's a re-break. They've made it look nice, but it just plays like, So
true, true,
if
true,
it
true.
plays good, that's the thing. So I'd recommend looking at it. But it's a Sega Saturn game. But I'm a bit of a purist like that. But anyway.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. So that's Miss Eileen's first choice, which is Die Hard Arcade, and it looks like a banger. I'll definitely give it a try. What's your second game, Miss Eileen?
So deviating from this one, I'm
Mm,
going fast forward to the year 2006 with Family Guy, the video game. This one was
Family Guy.
on the
Okay.
yes, this one
Okay.
was on the PlayStation 2, PSP, and Xbox,
Okay.
and it was developed by High Voltage Software.
Hmm.
So this one is, I would say, yeah, it's under classified as a beat 'em up, but there is three different
Oh,
gameplays here, and you can see Easter eggs and cutaway scenes just like the series.
Hmm.
So the beat 'em up portion of this game is actually where you play as Peter. So you just really you punch and kick and whatever. But then there's also a different style of play when you play as Brian, where you
The dog.
are under stealth and just move around a level trying to avoid being seen, and you have to
Yeah, I'm looking for
maybe
Peter's
accomplish some tasks.
section here.
So, and I'm you're speaking to somebody who's completely unfamiliar. I'm only familiar with Family Guy from the memes on the internet. I haven't seen a single
There
episode
it is.
of Family Guy. I only know that there's this fat father, typical loser father depiction on cartoons, but never, not really in real life. There's this snarky kid who seems to be a little bit too bright for his age, and a dog who an anthropomorphic dog who hates them both or hates everybody. I don't know. So I'm looking at this right now, and I don't know. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of a beat 'em up game that I saw, which is, well, not really the Simpsons arcade. I actually saw. I think I could be a false memory of mine, but there
Beating
was
up
also,
kids.
yeah. Well, there also seems to be a little bit of a memory of the Simpsons a beat 'em up. I could be wrong
yeah,
on this one.
yeah.
But yeah, it does remind me a little bit of it. But what distinguishes this one, Miss Eileen?
I would say the, for lack of a better term, juvenile fun. I would say,
Okay.
Yeah.
and offensive material. Like
Mm,
for the benefit of our listeners,
Well,
uh,
when
Peter
people,
Griffin here is beating up children and senior citizens.
I mean, this is definitely not a parental guidance game.
mhm.
Yes.
Look at them being children for. I mean, this should be. Is that right?
Are they even fighting him, or it's just they're just there?
They just happen to be there, and Peter's on some sort of mission inside his head and just beating up
Uh-oh.
everybody for no reason at all.
So just beat
Yeah.
everyone on site. Okay.
Yes. But later on there will be like a progression of the story where he has to do more beating up. And
I
this
mean,
one, I
Right.
forgot the story. I'm so sorry. It's been a long one.
dogs and cookies. I mean, look at the size of him. He's a state. I mean, surprisingly, he had a heart attack with all that running he's doing.
He's
I mean,
basically
geez.
a walking refrigerator. He's but yeah, I mean, I do and that was my problem, with these cartoons. I guess, not growing up, but when they started getting popular. There's the Simpsons, there's Family Guy, and there's American Dad.
And
I
then
could
South
never
Park.
distinguish between those three. Like, all right, so, but then again, from the way that it's looking, it does seem like a typical beat 'em up, actually, Miss Eileen, in 3D plane. You're not and cell shaded graphics. It looks like
Yes.
very. They made the effort to make it look like a lot like a cartoon. It looks pretty good. I like it. Please continue, Miss Eileen.
So here we see Peter just beating up everybody for no reason at all. I forgot the story because it's been a long while since I last played this one. I
Hmm.
think the last time I played this was over a year ago.
Hmm.
So pardon me if I could not remember the story of this one.
That's fine. That's
And so this is the beat 'em up aspect of the game, but then there is also the gameplay with Brian,
fine. Hmm.
where you are playing as
The dog.
under stealth, yes, the dog, and you are trying to get around the room, trying to avoid being seen by other characters, and you have to maybe accomplish tasks, get to the other side of the room, or
Also
get
stealth.
items. Yes. And
Mm.
then there's also the Stewie gameplay where you are I would say similar to Peter, but it's more on action, platform, and puzzle. So that
All
brings
right.
a different gameplay.
There's many facets to this then, rather than just beat 'em up element to it. Okay.
Yes.
Mm.
So I would say nice things about this game is like Sir Joel said earlier, it's cel shaded art and it looks like the animation but in somehow 3D appearance. And there are lots of Easter eggs here, from the characters to the cutaway scenes. For those familiar with the TV show, there's Chris versus the Evil Monkey, Mr. Belvedere, Bertram, and lots more others. And not seen here, but there are also mini games where Peter does the toilet farting contest, and where
Right.
he opens the car lock. I think only those who have seen the series would appreciate those. But I would say if
Ah,
you,
okay. So basically, he left his keys. He locked himself out. So he's outside the car and he left his keys inside.
more
And
like the opposite.
he locked the car while the keys are inside the car. Which, how can you even do that?
It's more like the opposite. He was locked for. I really forgot the exact scene, but he was locked inside the car, and he was trying to. I forgot what stick that
Yeah,
is, but
yeah, but
like
yeah.
when you check the
It's one of the it's one of the cutaways from the show.
yes,
Question: Are you going to fight the big chicken?
I forgot. I think so.
The big chicken. Are you going to fight the greased up deaf guy,
No, no, I don't.
Seamus, Doctor Hartman?
Mm, Seamus, Dr. Hartman. I think they're in the game.
Right.
I think
Mm.
so.
I know the show. Unlike Sir Joel, I can tell American Dad, Family Guy, and Simpsons apart.
Now, now, now,
I watch the show.
yeah, me
I'm
now.
familiar with the show.
Okay. How long is the game from start to finish? How many hours?
Oh, this one actually has a good length to it. I cannot put a number, but it would be. I'm just hazarding a guess. Maybe 5 hours. I'm not sure.
5 hours. I'm guessing you cannot really speed run this because there are certain areas here where you need to finish, for instance, with Peter's stage, you cannot really go on ahead without fighting the horde of children or elderly. So you can't really progress
Mm.
to that.
So,
It's not like you can
Yeah.
just go straight forward and ignoring everybody else. Yeah,
Mm.
you need to kick ass.
Yes.
mm,
And the Brian and Stewie stages take more time because here is what I was saying earlier: the toilet farting contest. It's a
okay.
mini game. Repeat the musical tunes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh,
So
from
this
the mind of
is
Seth MacFarlane, isn't it? It's all Seth MacFarlane, isn't it? He did all this Family Guy stuff, didn't he? So yeah,
yeah.
his show and his American Dad. That's all part of the same little world,
This
isn't
is
it?
like season 1 to 5, I think.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
the
it's
early
the
days when
early
the show
seasons.
aired. Yeah, obviously the show still
Mm.
continued. I mean, you think it's a retro game, but that show has been as successful as Simpsons now because it's lasted the test of time. Same with South Park. You know, another game. There's another game on N64 that aired all those years ago, and it's still airing now. South Park. So these sort of I call it satirical animated shows or cartoons, satirical cartoons. They've been very successful and they resonate with a lot of people because they deal with obviously everyday funny situations that people can relate to. And I think that's why Family Guy as an IP is very, very funny. People enjoy that show. For me, it's not my cup of tea, to be honest. I've got the patience for watching all these episodes of Family Guy and an American Dad that people get all happy about. And to be honest, like, so I have a much more highbrow sense of humor. I'm above this sort of stuff, but I appreciate that people love this sort of stuff.
Would
Um,
have do you think
it looks like a fun game.
do you think it would be such a rip off if Family Guy did it like the Simpsons arcade?
Well,
Like
obviously,
you
they
got
have
Peter, Lewis, Brian, and then Stewie, Chris, and Meg, like all six of them playable, like doing it like from the Simpsons arcade. Do you think do you think that would be a blatant rip off?
it would be a rip-off, but I think people will still want to play it. But one thing I want to say is that Simpsons arcade game was made by Konami, and that is gold. The
Hmm.
way it plays is amazing. So to be able to replicate that magic, because it's not just about the graphics, it's not just about how the game plays, it's about having that X factor, which gives you that perfect pacing and fun factor, which makes a beat 'em up really good. And Konami, Capcom, Sega, they can do it generally quite well, I think. These guys who made this game, I've never even heard of them. So I don't know. You tell me, Miss Arnie. I mean, is this actually a really fun game to play? Is it? I mean, because for me, okay, it's cel shaded graphics. It just looks like a senseless brawler. That's what it looks like to me. It's like there's no challenge to it.
I just remembered. It wasn't a false memory. I was remembering The Simpsons wrestling on PlayStation 1. That's what kind of reminded me of. Of course, this is much more open world, but yeah, it just popped in my head the way that this was presented to me. That the cartoon world, being able to beat everybody up. It just it wasn't a false memory at all. It turns out it was Simpsons wrestling for the PlayStation 1, and yeah, I guess this is a more open world iteration of this one. But again, this is for the fans. I'm absolutely sure for the people who are familiar with the cartoon, who
Yeah, I
want to
would say so.
experience,
Yeah.
who would want to experience the how it is on the ground level of living in the cartoon of Family Guy. So yeah, I'm not putting it against anybody as long as you're
Even the
enjoying it.
mime. Okay,
Mhm.
sure.
As long as
So,
you're enjoying
so
it,
I'm
I'm cool.
guessing. So I'm guessing, Miss I. Is it necessary for people who have watched the show to enjoy this game?
I would say so because there are lots of references and Easter eggs that only fans would appreciate, and
Mm.
maybe well, they're only the ones who could get the joke.
Mm.
Right.
I would say so.
So if you're going to sell this to Sir Viraj or Sir Joel, who don't know any lick of knowledge about the show,
No, I know
so
about the show.
how are you able to convince them to play this?
Yes. Mhm.
I know about the show. I've watched a few episodes of it. I know his wife's
Right.
name. I know Mila Kunis does the voice for his daughter and all this stuff, so I'm well aware of it.
Mhm.
Shut up,
Right.
So it's a good. It looks like a lot of fun. But I mean, another good reason for buying this game is dirt cheap. I've just looked at it online. Goodness me, you'll pay less than £20 for it, or $20.
Of course, it's cheap. Nobody wants to play.
Nobody wants it. No, but it's a good. Listen, this is what this is. I think another factor we don't talk about is the money or how much these games cost if you want to replay them now. And
Mhm.
obviously, Die Hard Arcade isn't as accessible as the others, to be fair. But this one is accessible, like as a retro game. You can easily buy it for a console. The most popular console of all time was the PS2. You can get PS2 cheap if you haven't got it already, and you get this game cheap, and you're done.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And this game is so cheap, you could just buy it and enjoy it and throw it away. Not saying that you should never throw video games away, but that it's affordable for you to play and just sell on. And it's a good evening or a good weekend, a good few hours you could have fun if you're a fan of Family Guy. So I can see it definitely has its merit, but
But you'd
you
be
know,
surprised at how many video games we threw away back when I was working in GameStop. But they were mostly sports games, so don't worry about it.
Another follow up question to Miss I: does Peter have any special moves at all?
From what we saw a few seconds earlier, as you progress through the game, he will get special move sets through a series of buttons that you press.
Like
So
what?
earlier he had a leg sweep, something.
Yeah. Yep,
Eh,
leg sweeps. Actually, leg sweep something something is something Peter would say.
yes, because again, it's been a long while since I last played this, and I'm actually trying to look for a copy on the PS2 because I don't have my copy anymore. I need to play this one again
Uh,
in the future.
I can see some old people there, but I haven't seen Herbert the pervert yet.
Maybe when was he here? I'm not sure. He ought to be here somewhere in the game. He ought to be
I
here.
can't see him yet.
all right. So you got Family Guy on the PS2. Wonderful,
Family Guy.
wonderful. Right, shall we
There
move
you
on?
go.
Shall we move on to
Yes.
the next? Any more games, Marlene? Or are we done?
Just one more on the
One more.
PlayStation 1.
Another one. Okay, we're going back a generation. PS1.
Yeah,
And what is this game?
PS1. It is the Jackie Chan Stunt Master. which
Mm,
was released on March 28th, 2000. So this was developed by Radical Entertainment,
mm,
which from what I read is or has been acquired by Vivendi and then later by Activision. So the plot for this one is Jackie's grandfather is kidnapped and he has to rescue him. And in order to do that, he has to fight different thugs throughout New York City to get his grandpa back.
mm.
So what's good about this game is, well, first of all, it is actually Jackie from the voice and the movements because he did the motion capture for
Yeah.
this game. Here you can see that he does kung fu style. He really did all the moves, and I remember you can collect those. I'm not sure how you call that. I think pendant or icons, and when you complete those at the end of the game, you will get a bonus video of Jackie talking about how he did the stunts and a video of how he actually did those. So they had like platforms and whatnot and moving platforms where he did his stunts and they recorded it. Think of this as a rudimentary Sleeping Dogs kind of beat 'em up game because, well, considering this is the PlayStation 1, you can actually block, attack, and pull your enemies, counter attack even. So there's a variety of moves you can do here. You can even, I'm not sure if you will see in the clips, but you can actually run all over your enemy's body and do a somersault. I
Mm.
hope we see it somewhere there.
The way that I see it, Miss Eileen, this is actually a current day simulator because I was as you guys know yesterday because I was over in New York City yesterday to pick up the wife and kid from the airport, and people there have told me how kind of dangerous it's gotten in New York City. So I'm thinking of this as a current day simulator.
This is just a regular day in New York.
Yep, it's a regular day in New York. Now you play Jackie Chan stunt. What's the title of this one again? Jackie Chan Stunt Master,
Instant
so that
master.
you'll be ready for your trip to New York City because at least it's an idea of what it looks like. Anyway, continue, Miss Eileen.
So that reminds me of Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh, there's also that. Yeah, I mean, but then again, in the Bronx, it's always that way. Anyway, it's not just a recent thing. With Jackie Chan's Stuntmaster, it looks like he's doing it in Canal Street in Chinatown over in New York City. So yeah. Mm-mm. All right, continue then.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen there, but he just did a somersault
Oh
on the
yeah.
wall and
Mm.
flipped over his enemy.
Oh,
So
cool.
there are actually cool moves he does here. So
Mm.
it's a variety to the usual beat 'em up games we have during this era. You can also use different objects here as weapons, although it's not on this stage. You can jump onto ledges, and there are actually like trampoline like areas here. It's not
Mm.
in this level, but when you see that swordfish, you can actually use that as a weapon. They're on the grill. Not sure if
Hmm.
he uses it here, but you can beat your enemies with the fish.
That's cool.
So there is also
Uh, hmm. Okay.
And I can see the rice
Question.
bowl and things poking out. So
Question.
you go.
yeah
Uh,
there.
so Viraj pointed out the bowl of rice. So I'm guessing that replenishes his health.
Yes, it does.
It does replenish yours
Question:
whenever I
Does
eat a bowl of rice.
Jackie Chan even eat cheese? Any like a cheeseburger or pizza here, or a whole chicken?
I don't think so. I
So
think it's Chinese
is,
taste.
is so is that the thing? I mean, just because he's Chinese, the food is always Chinese.
Looks
Well,
like
That's racist. I mean,
Right, but
I've
China,
I- I've s- I've
China-
I've seen some lo mein there. I've seen ramen.
yes.
I've seen some dim sum. I've seen a bowl of rice. Is that it? Now, just because he's just because he's Asian, all you see there's just Asian food. Does
That's
he eat anything
crazy. I've
else?
never seen him eat like a hamburger in a Western movie. Well, maybe I'm blind. Maybe in the Rush Hour films, he ate a hot dog with Chris Tucker.
No, it's
No,
racist for other races to impose their idea of food on Jackie Chan. Come on,
Oh
he's
yeah.
Asian. Exactly, he wants Asian food. The same as me. I want Asian food. It's every time that I'm forced to eat Western
So,
food, my health decreases. Anyway, continue, Viraj. You were about to say, Viraj.
I just thought, you know what? This game looks cool. How much is it? So I went on eBay. Yeah, this
Mhm.
game's over £100. This is
Mm.
crazy. I mean, I can afford. I
Expensive.
mean, I had a good print run, and it must be quite limited. That's why it's over £100 to play now. But obviously, in American money, like you can get it for like $42 or something like that, just for the disc on its own. So I suppose it is affordable for the Americans, but for us in the UK, we're going to get screwed. It's just on that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll have to say something about the movement. It certainly does feel like Jackie Chan, especially the way that he kind of turns around and has a look at the threat that's coming at him. Yeah, that is definitely Jackie Chan. You know that it's him. Mhm.
I think at the time, Jackie Chan just wasn't as big. He was a big star then, but he's a mega star now. He's like one of the
Oh,
highest
yeah.
paid actors in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
That's why the game is like as high as it is, because it's like in his early days when he was making his name. And here's a game that is from those early days, and it's quite limited in terms of how many copies they made. That's probably why it's so expensive. And it does look like a very well made game for what it is. Obviously, it's PS1. The graphics aren't as refined as it is now, but that shouldn't be a barrier. It does actually look like it could be a lot of fun and quite a good little open world sort of beat 'em up game. So,
Well, there it is, Joe. He drinks milk. There's a milk carton over there.
yeah, but with Asian characters, with Chinese characters, that's
He's
still
not
racist.
great. Yeah.
Why does it look like you need to get really really close just to hit the enemies,
Mm.
or is it just me? How's the hit detection here?
I would say it's pretty good because if a beat 'em up game doesn't properly land hits, I wouldn't consider it a something I would play. But this one I
Right,
finished this
there you go.
years back,
Yeah.
so they're like that. You have a variety of moves that you can use, and it lands pretty neatly.
Right. There you go.
There's a good
A follow up
pattern.
question. So aside from the somersault, does he have any other special moves here? Like, for example, if he's drinking like alcohol, does he do a drunken fist style
Well,
technique?
that would be so cool. But
There
it
is
doesn't
a
look.
drunken there is a drunken boxing move here.
Oh.
I forgot the exact movement, but yes, he did some drunken boxing here.
Mhm. Yeah, because
Oh, really?
Jackie Chan was
Okay.
famous for his movie Drunken Master, and of
Drunken
course,
master.
was it Snake of the Eagle Shadow also that he used the drunken fist? I could be wrong on that one. But yeah, Jackie Chan, one of his biggest movies ever was Drunken Master, where he played
Yeah.
Wong Fei Hong, if I remember correctly. There you
Yes,
go.
and I'm not sure if he falls into that. Not in this clip, but if he falls into that hot grill or something,
Mm,
it would remind you of that Drunken Master 2 scene where he actually got burnt.
mm,
If you see the post credits
mm.
videos, it looks like he really got burnt here. If you fall into that grill,
Wow. All
so
right.
there's the
So
awnings.
the creators just added that there to troll him.
Looks like it.
My favorite Jackie Chan film was that City Hunter. I thought that was funny.
Oh, City Hunter was great. Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that in the big screen. I paid good money for that. That was really worth
Yeah.
the money.
Quite pervy
So
film,
so we're
but funny.
talking so we're talking about Jackie Chan movies here.
Yeah.
Did the creators even like reference any of the movies on this game?
Not
Likely not.
really.
No,
Not
likely
It
not.
really.
doesn't.
So it's just him fighting in Chinatown. That's it. Like there's
Mhm.
no reference to Meals on Wheels or
Mm-mm.
anything like that. Or unless of course they've did it, but but it takes a while for the player to know those movies to appreciate them. Maybe they're just hidden. I mean,
I'm not sure if you could consider this one Thunderbolt because there are cars, but not really. There are no references to his movies, unfortunately.
right.
Mhm.
Would have been nice.
I know there was a Jackie Chan Adventures game that was a beat 'em up on the PS2, which followed the
Oh
anime.
yeah, I know that one.
And there's also the GBA one, which was also a beat 'em up. So obviously he's had some more beat 'em up games in his honor. say, as his fame was rising. I mean, the man had his own animated series. I mean, this is how much of a big deal Jackie Chan was. Goodness me. Golden ticket. All right.
I remember his interview here.
All right. Jackie
Chan's
Chan.
Kung
Goodness me, you're saying Jackie Chan had a game on the NES? Was he famous even back in the NES era? Or is this something that's
Maybe Famicom. Maybe Famicom, not NES.
Well, Jackie Chan has been pretty popular in the East ever since I'd have to say about the early 80s,
Yes.
because we had something called Kung Fu theater back in the Philippines, and coming home in the afternoons after coming from school, there would be a solid hour of solid couple of hours of nothing but Kung Fu films.
2 hours.
And, so a solid couple of hours of nothing but Kung Fu films. It's a variety of films from Jackie Chan, from Jet Li, from all the Bruce Lee clones and everything. It would be a surprise every single day of a brand new Kung Fu film once you got home from school. And
What is that, Sir Joel? You posted that one, the Golden Dragon production.
Yes, the Golden Dragon.
Where?
Harvest. Yeah, the moment. Yes, exactly. Every single Asian kid who ever came home and watched the Kung Fu films knows that logo and that sound. You can hear it once you see that picture. But yeah, generally, if you want to recreate that feeling of watching Kung Fu theater, there's this online channel called the Wu-Tang Collection right now. It's absolutely free. You can go online, watch it, just re-experience those moments of go getting home, kicking ass, and then afterwards doing your homework. Yeah. So Jackie Chan, one of the big guys during that era. Excellent game from the looks of it. I might give it a try, Miss Eileen, but yeah, I'd much rather go to the Wu-Tang Collection and watch some old style kung fu movies and watch people speak in non-synchronized manners.
All right. So we're done with this game now. So
yep.
We're done with your Miss Eileen. So that's great. Well, thank you for your choices. They're always interesting whenever Miss Eileen chooses games.
Yes,
they're not like what you'd expect. I don't use the word obscure, but they're not obviously the most popular ones of that genre. These are games like what we're talking about, beat 'em ups. These are beat 'em ups. These exist, but it's nice to know that you brought this to the limelight. So much appreciated. All right, fantastic. Now moving on to the next part of the video. I think I know Sir JDM is joining us right now. Which is
excellent, great. JDM. It's nice to see you. Happy that you're here.
Holy shit, I made it. I thought I was not about to make it, but I did. For everyone who has forgotten me, JDM, on the markouts of 1, 2, 3, go.
Yes.
If you already forgot.
I'm hearing some echo from the cave, from the bat cave. What is that?
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
That's good. But I think the next segment video, what we'll do is because Sir Dan can't be with us, and he's got a video segment planned on the beat 'em up game that he's chosen. So we'll move to his little segment. So without further ado, let's hear it from Sir Dan what he has to say and his take about his game. All right.
And I have to shoot off.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Porter's got to get going. So thanks for joining us again, and look forward to see you on future shows going forward. But yeah, you have
glad to be here.
Hello, Timeless Game crew. Good to be with you all again. You'll have to excuse me. I have a little bit of a cold today, so I'm a little bit hoarse. But I'm here to talk about the modern beat-em-ups that we all thrive on. So my main game is obviously going to be a Sega game. And to be fair, it is genuinely, in my opinion, the best beat-em-up ever made, to be honest. It shouldn't be too hard to guess. It was built on the foundations of its excellent predecessors. There's 4 games in the series, and there's not a bad game in there. In fact, every single game is fantastic. Top tier beat 'em up action. You don't really get any better. And this 4th entry is the best of the lot, and that is Streets of Rage 4. It's a typical 8-way side-scrolling beat 'em up. It was released back in 2020, and it was released on various formats, pretty much every format. I think you can get PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, Steam. It did get I think it got a mobile release a couple of years later in 2022. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how they took the original amazing beat 'em ups and evolved them, and the Sega absolutely nailed the evolution, and they did that with the original games. The original games are all three fantastic games. My favorite, excuse me, my favorite of the original three is Streets of Rage 3, or to be more specific, Bare Knuckle 3. Streets of Rage 3 got a Western release which they butchered a bit. They kind of adjusted some bits and bobs, and it didn't quite work. It's still it's still a great game, but Bare Knuckle 3 really, that really lands. But Streets of Rage 1, I think, is amazing. I think it's really, really great. Streets of Rage 2 is the people's favourite. I think that's largely because it's the easiest. You know what I mean? It's kind of Mario syndrome, where a lot of people pick it up, complete it within a few plays, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant." But the more the more hardcore gamer who like to play these games over and over and master them at harder levels. For me, Streets of Rage 3, Bare Knuckle 3 is the best of the previous generations. But like I say, they're all fantastic. Streets of Rage 1's got my favourite music, but they're all. I mean, God, just trying to pick things out between them all. You're confused. You're between brilliance, basically. And Streets of Rage 4, exactly the same. Streets of Rage 4 takes takes the original game's core foundation. And basically builds a combo system on it, and that combo system is just fucking different class. It really is. Like, it's not just the combo system. That's what I love about it, because too many games for me are combo heavy now. Too many games go into the gimmicky side of things. When you play what I loved about the original 80s and 90s beat 'em ups, especially Streets of Rage, especially stuff like Final Fight, is that even though it is, or even though those games were kind of flamboyant and different, they were still grounded. You know what I mean? You still felt like you were fighting people. It had the feel to that. Do you know what I mean? It had, you weren't too over the top. It was over the top. It's not very. I'm not going to pick my mate Raz up and put him between my legs and jump 30 foot in the air and pile drive him. But it had it still had the general groundedness of just tip-tap-toeing, punching and that. And when I see a lot of games go too combo heavy, I just don't feel like connected to it. But Streets of Rage 4 manages to do that. It manages to go very anime and very outworldly whilst retaining that grounded sense, and it just does it amazingly. It really does. It plays. Oh my god, does it play good? Jesus, it's so good. It really is. It includes a system where, similar to Bloodborne, where you if you lose health, if you kick some ass back in a good amount of time and without getting hit yourself, you get your health back, and that's what it's kind of built around. That's the main gimmick of it, really. So that's where your combos come into it, and it just works a treat. It just works. God, honestly, this is, as far as modern reboots go, this is as good as it gets. It really is. You know what I mean? They managed to pay enough respect to the original games, whilst making it, whilst taking it to another level themselves. They've got enough nostalgia beats in there, old characters, familiar faces, familiar stages. You know what I mean, or familiar themes of stages. But then they've chucked in loads of new characters and loads of new stuff that all works. That you can tell they've really put effort into thinking through, and into making work. That said, my biggest complaint with it is just one character really. I can't stand the character Cherry Hunter. I just can't stand her. I'm a guitarist, and she carries a guitar and takes it into a fight with. And don't get me wrong, you can smack someone with a guitar and it does some damage. I actually did that at a gig once in Sheffield when some twat carried on getting on stage and pushing my bass player. So this is it's got its uses, but you're not gonna take a guitar into a fight and run through the streets. And I know these games aren't exactly built on reality, but let's have a bit of that groundedness. You know what I mean? These games are kind of inspired by films like The Warriors and films like Streets of Fire, and the brilliant films, and they've got that connection. And I don't, you're not going to see that. So that's my big fault with that. Cherry Hunters just kind of like sticks out like a sore thumb as somebody who shouldn't be in there. But the rest of the game itself is just phenomenal. Really, really fantastic. I don't think Sega could have done a better job with it. It's the best beat 'em up ever made. So you've got to get it. All that series, you've got to look at that series. And what other series has every single hit or every single entry is a hit? I can't think of many. Maybe even Shinobi. I love Shinobi. Shinobi's an amazing series, but you've got shit like the Cyber Shinobi that just drags it down. Streets of Rage, those 4 core games, they're just absolutely phenomenal, really. So now I'll do a quick honourable mention to a game called Fight and Rage. It's not the best beat 'em up ever. It's not. It's in that goodish realm. It's not fantastic, but it's worth a play. But it deserves a mention because it's an indie title, and I think they got, they've tributed the beat 'em up genre quite well here. They've understood what the beat 'em up genre is about. When I say a lot of these new reboots and indie games and that, sometimes I question myself: did these devs actually get what they were aiming for? I've played no indie games that a lot of people wax lyrical about that aren't really that good. You know what I mean? They're not the kind of tribute things, but they don't get what the original games were meant to be about and the roots of it all. But Fight and Rage does, and it offers some really nice. Again, it's combo based action. And this one is over the top. This is a bit silly. It's a bit too much combo. I'll say that. But because it's an indie game, you kind of think, well, give them a bit of leeway of that. I don't think it's a must play. I just think it's worth mentioning because it's a little bit. It's a funky tribute. It's a funky tribute, a neat game, not a fantastic game, but a neat game. So it's just one to keep an eye out for. So they're my selections. Hope you have a great show. Hope everybody listening is thriving and they're going to kick some ass on these beat 'em ups. Go and smash some heads in. Because it's good, yeah. And keep it timeless.
Excellent presentation from Dan, as usual.
You know what? I really like Sir Dan's enthusiasm when playing those games. I mean, when doing the video, because it feels like it's like his vibe when he's playing those games, Streets of Rage.
They definitely have
Or
that.
Well, I did tell him to rant, so
He's got a good
don't hold
energy. He's got a good
don't hold
energy.
anything back, and I'll just do the editing.
Oh yeah, Viraj is showing something. There you go.
I got the soundtrack, the sample.
Nice,
soundtrack,
very
the
cool.
soundtrack as well. I owned that game twice on my Switch. It was that good. What it was,
Question to Sir Viraj, because Sir Dan is not here. I just saw all of the multi-platform releases, and they release it for the Sega Genesis as well.
What do you mean Sega Genesis?
Yeah, I mean they released for
Really?
the PS4, the
Yeah.
Switch, Xbox, and I saw a Genesis box there.
No,
So they
let me
released it on the Genesis, or was it a troll?
Let me explain what happened. So basically, when you bought, I should really pull my box out, but when you bought it, there's an insert cover of the game on physical. We can take the cover out from Switch, flip it around, it will say Sega Mega Drive or Genesis.
Oh,
whatever it is. If you
That
got
would explain, because ain't no way the 16-bit Mega Drive can handle all of that shit.
yeah, you
Mm.
have to descale some of the features, but yeah, it's I suppose you
Would have been nice though if they descaled it so much that it could fit on a Mega Drive game
they could do,
cartridge.
but they
Would
won't.
would have been nice.
They could do, but they won't, because of piracy, and they want to make some money. So there you go. But I mean, with the Switch, I got the Switch. It makes no difference what one you get. I was only available on digital, so that's what annoyed me first. I wanted the physical copy because it deserved that. I ordered it from Limited Run Games. It took me a year to get that bloody game, and then then by the time it came out, they
See,
actually
JD and I were talking about limited run games about that. You know, you order something, you
Really?
get it a year or 2 years later.
And
Yeah.
You?
And then eventually, they decided to make it like Signature. There's this other company called Signature Games, and basically there wasn't actually official release. They eventually decided to make an official release. Thank you, Sega. But now I have 2 copies of it because I wanted But I've got one with the Streets of Rage 4 bandana and all the pins because I'm such a fan of it. So I have that version. I just keep it there because I'm a collector. And I have also this. Also, I have the Limited Run games. It came with this little sample soundtrack, which I play in my car if I want to like sort of. It's good driving music if you're driving late at night. So there you go. Or if you want to speed like a band.
Well, you're lucky. You're lucky because the missus uses Backstreet Boys as driving music, and it's horrendous. You know, when I'm driving, where we're driving to Florida. Anyway, continue.
Forward. Oh,
Sorry, I threw you off on that one.
I think there's something horrible in my mouth. Oh, how bad that was. That's how bad it was. Anyway, going
Quit
forward,
playing games.
Yeah.
it has an amazing soundtrack anyway. So Yuzo Koshiro, who did the first 3 games, so Yuzo Koshiro, who did the first games, he's credited here, and you've got some other great things. And T. Lopez, who's a new composer, so you've got some really good composers that actually made the soundtrack for this game. So a great soundtrack as well, because with a beat 'em up, I think what makes it is the atmosphere you play it with, and the soundtrack is just in all the Streets of Rage games. I mean, third one uses an experimental bit of hardware to make it, but they're very interesting. They've got that sort of techno punk sort of electronic vibe to it that has a nice bass to it when you're playing it, and it's you just want to sort of jam while you're punching people, and you got that rhythm when you're punching people, and there's a lot of fun with that when you go in the street doing these attacks. So a lot of fun. I remember Sedan. One thing he didn't say in his video, because I remember speaking to him about it, is he goes, "It was a bit too long for me. It was an hour longer than it should have been." Yeah, so he said it should have been 3 hours. It's 4 hour long game. It is a lengthy game, and I did actually spend a Christmas. And I'll tell you the best thing about this game: I played 4-player couch co-op with this on my Switch. You know, that was like my friends came over, so I had one of them had like one of my arcade sticks plugged into the Switch. One of them was using my Switch Pro controller. The other one was using the Mega Drive Switch controller. One was using the Super Nintendo Switch controller. So we have all these different people with different controllers playing this one game that they're comfortable with. And one thing about modern gaming is you can now have whatever input device you feel comfortable with, you can play on. So I played with the Mega Drive controller because that's what I grew up with. So I had the Mega Drive Switch controller. The SNES controller my friend had, one of them wanted to use the stick and he sucked on the stick, but he wanted to use it. But it's whatever you want, and that's what it had, that arcade feel to it, and it's just that good a beat 'em up. So it's cheap to get now. This is another thing. It is cheap as chips to get. Even if you don't have a Switch, you can get it on Steam on your PC and play it that way. It's not graphically.
I got to play it for free on Game Pass when it was there. It was fun. It was just surprisingly good. Yeah.
It's a really good game. So much more fun when you're playing with more than one person. I think modern beat 'em ups, you want to play couch co-op with 2 people. They're a lot more fun. You can see that there's this, if you've got someone who's as skilled as you go on this adventure to take down the mob boss at the end, or the Y X and Y twins, as it was in Streets of Rage 4. A very, very fun game. So Streets of Rage 4, definitely a great game. I just want to touch on that. The other game that Dan was talking about, I can't really say much on it because I don't know about it, but very good that you mentioned.
I also found the Streets of Rage 4 original soundtrack on Amazon Music, which is included in Prime. So I can basically download that, and when it's my turn to do the long drive going to Florida, I can just throw the Backstreet Boys CD away and and listen to this.
Just give it to me.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Or maybe when you get into a fight. like
Oh
a
yeah,
road
there you
rage.
go. I could, when I get into a fight on the drive, maybe somewhere in South Carolina, I'll just slap that onto the radio, and I'll just go beat him against one of the bad
Or
One
you're
time
guys.
I
gonna
was
beat someone with a,
Yeah.
or you're gonna beat someone along with the soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah.
such a good soundtrack. One time I was driving to work early in the morning, and I think the track
Mm.
was called Down the Beach. I was listening to it,
Okay.
and it's got a nice
Hmm.
little piano tone with a bass to it. Had the
Hmm.
window open. It was a summer's day, and there's a
Okay.
guy who comes up next to me, and he started bopping with me because he liked the soundtrack, and you got a good sound when someone actually likes it. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. I pulled away when the traffic lights turned green, and he wanted to race me, but his car just wasn't as fast. Anyway, that's another issue. But
Mm.
it was fun. Like, it's just fun knowing that that's a good soundtrack if someone else likes it who you don't even know. So great soundtrack with Streets of Rage. Anyway,
Mhm.
very good. So let's move on to the next game. Let's go with JDM because
Yeah.
he's
JDM just came in. Let's listen to his
yeah, of
picks.
course. Time to settle down. JDM, let's talk about your games. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually made a recording of this, but since I made it, I'll just
Yeah.
get
Mm.
into it. So
Yes.
first, for me, it's going to be the 1996 game called Dungeons and Dragons: Shadow over Mystara for
Yes. Nice
the
choice.
arcade, and I guess it came out in the Sega Saturn as well.
Mm.
So this is a beat 'em up game that is based on the dungeons in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So
Mm.
you have two games. One of my favorite genres, the computer RPGs, and a beat 'em up game because I remember playing this with my friends back in grade school. So it's that's it. Two different kinds of genres. You have RPG, computer RPG, and a beat 'em up game all in one game. So, what I like about this is I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons, and um, you have this. You can select a variety of characters here. Actually, classes. You have the elf. This one you can see the dwarf. I think that's a dwarf fighter. That one, and it looks like um, Golden Axe if
Mhm.
you see it, right? But you have items like those are actual items that you can see in a Dungeon and Dragons game,
Mhm.
like the potion of cure moderate health.
Mhm.
Then these other items and weapons. You can see chests. It looks like Golden Axe with the one with King Arthur.
Oh,
Uh,
Knights of the
like
Round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Knights of the
Knights
Round.
of the Round,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
it's made by
So you
Capcom.
can, yeah, it's a Capcom game, by the way. And here you have different options to select. You can select which path you're going to go. It has options where you want to go next. You can be inside the dungeon or like a flying turtle's back, and that's it. You can see those little tiny, are those goblins or orcs?
Yeah, I
This
think
one,
they're
it
they're
reminds,
yeah they're kobolds. I think.
Goblins, yeah, I think.
yeah,
Goblins or kobolds. Yeah.
Goblins, they're green,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Those
There
are
you go.
the common enemies when you see the CRPGs or even the board games.
That-
And this little guys reminds me of uh those thieves that you can see in Golden Axe.
yes, that's true. Yeah.
The one
The thing,
who
you're speaking
steals money.
particularly of Shadows over Mystara, right, JDM? I think this is already the sequel to the first one, which is Towers of Doom, right?
Yes, the Tower of
Hmm.
Doom. That
Tower
was
of Doom.
released, I think, 95 or 94 if I'm not mistaken. But this is the one that I remember so much because
In the arcades, yeah.
yes, it's in the arcades. And
Hmm.
I just recently discovered arcade, and I thought
Oh
that
yeah.
the arcade was just for
Mhm.
what do you call this,
Fighting
fighting
games.
games and some puzzle games.
Yeah. Now, the arcade scene is amazing. Honestly, the home consoles are basically what arcades are came about because they wanted to be like the arcades. And the arcades are just an amazing scene. The thing about this got released, Shadows over Mystara, along with Tower of Doom in the compilation. I think it was called Chronicles of Mystara. I could be wrong on that one, but yeah, it's exactly how I imagined playing through an actual D&D campaign would be if I had actually imagined it as a computer
Mm.
game. So that's the
And
nice thing about it.
if
Mhm.
it's not turn based,
Yes, and if it's not
this
turn-based,
one is
really,
real time.
yes,
So
exactly.
it's a lot of fun, especially if you're playing with your friends.
Yeah. And
So
there's no asshole DM who's out to get you.
I don't remember if this has
Mm.
the friendly fire on, or like a
The
versus
versions I didn't
mode.
have it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those whippersnappers who
Mhm.
just realized that there's an actual game,
Mhm.
actual Dungeons and Dragons game that's a bit and up,
Mhm.
you can plug in your Xbox 360s
Ooh.
or your PS3s, because
Yeah.
it was released, I think, back in 2013 or
Yeah.
2014. They
Mhm.
made this they made
It's a
like a
remaster,
reissue, yeah, remaster of this. It's not actually remaster, it's like they just
a
uh
re-release.
A
yeah,
re-release.
re-released,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's called Chronicles of Mystara, which
That's it.
also
Yeah.
included Tower of Doom.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's basically a D&D campaign
Mm.
in two games. If you really wanted to play to imagine yourself as any of the as any of the character classes that you're familiar with, if you're a D&D player, this is the game to play. The Chronicles of Mystara, which includes
Mm.
Tower of Doom and Shadows over Mystara.
Yeah.
It's it's
And now
it's
they're crowd surfing.
yeah.
Yes. That's one of the options that you can
Mm,
select when there's a like a diversion. So
yes.
you can do surfing. You can also get into a cave.
hmm
So
Except
there's a
except you're not, you don't have to be absolutely drunk for you to for your DM to imagine a scenario like this actually happening while you're around the table.
yeah.
It's good. It's good. Anyway,
Wonderful.
continue, JDM.
So that's it for this game. I really enjoyed this one with my friends, and I don't know how many coins we have spent over this machine.
Mhm.
Maybe the owner of this like the shop that we're playing in,
Mhm.
maybe he made a well-made fortune out of this game alone.
Mm, mm.
You know how beat 'em up games eat a lot of these um
Quarters.
dimes or nickels, yeah, coins
Yes.
when playing this game,
Mhm.
especially like Metal Slug.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I think there's also X-Men game, yeah, I don't know if that's the arcade, the if that's the arcade beat 'em up game that Sir Ray mentioned. But
X-Men
yeah,
Mhm.
Legion.
I remember playing those as well, because I saw it once. There's a TV show here in the Philippines. I think it's called TV Wonderland, where they play inside an amusement park. It's a game show within an amusement park, and they play these games like video, what was that US TV show, um vi- video power. It's like that, but it's in an amusement shop. But sadly, it was already lost media. I don't think a lot of people remember that, but I discovered a lot of arcade games watching that show.
Mm.
I have to
So
check that
yeah,
out.
so
ADM TV Wonderland. Okay, it might
yeah,
be, it might still be in somebody's baul somewhere.
yeah.
So I'll
Mm.
go check. I'll go check it out.
I
Like,
have questions.
yes, go ahead. I have questions. Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Joe.
Well,
All
he's
right.
going to mention the elf and how much he's overdressed. That's his question, isn't it? Like,
Um, thank you for saying what needed to be said. Uh, Number one, the cleric. Is that really
Mm.
his shield? That looks like a pot lid. You can't really block anything with that on.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's a
so you're
buckler.
using them. So
Yeah,
you
I
have an
think
elf
bucklers are
cleric.
small shields. Yeah.
Oh, there,
a
there,
cleric and
there it is. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember. I remember this. I
I remember.
remember point. I remember pointing something here.
Yes.
Two things actually.
Yeah, you can actually point because there's a hand that's over
Yeah.
the items, right?
Yes.
I always kept
I
on
understand.
clicking on those and nothing's happening. I mean, anyway,
moving on.
yeah,
Like
yeah. So yeah,
you're trying to
I was clicking on the breast. Yes.
One
yeah.
thing I
Mhm.
will say is Capcom, when it comes to their beat 'em ups, I mean, we're talking from the very early days of Final Fight and going forward, Captain Commando, and even during the Saturn era, which is this is on the Saturn as well. Obviously, it's an arcade game. In terms
Mhm.
of their sprites and the detail they put into their work, it's outstanding. I love Capcom's art style. I'll say
I
that
have
much. Even
agreed.
though,
Agreed.
even though
The,
the elf was, overdressed, we could
the,
tell. Even if shit was underdressed, it would be a very beautiful sprite. That
the
Capcom
details are amazing, and the colors are very vibrant. You have
very
to give it
vibrant
to them.
colors,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
Oh,
I have a
to those people who play this game because this is an RPG simulating game.
Mhm.
So you have a magic user, the elf,
Mhm.
the
Yes.
cleric,
Mhm.
and the dwarf. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Mhm.
And then you earn experience points. I'm guessing for every successful mission that you do.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you hit enemies the same? Does the damage um relatively the same,
It
or the dwarf is stronger, the
yes.
cleric is stronger,
Yeah.
or what?
There's a very distinct feel to each one. The dwarf's damage radius is much wider but much shorter. The elf's damage, her sword being much shorter, slimmer, feels like it's much the radius is much thinner, but it's like pinprick damage, like multiples and
Right.
everything.
Mm.
The cleric's attacks, since he can't use pointed or edged weapons, his blunt weapons deal heavy damage. We're talking like heavy smashing
Mm.
damage. So the feel is very different for each one, and the magic spells are a good variety as well. I'll have to say one thing: the guys at Capcom who developed the Chronicles of Mystara series did their research as to the lore of what each character class can do and what their limitations are. I'll give it to that. I'll give them that
Oh
one.
yeah, you have a thief and a knight. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
One of the things that I remember about this game, I like
Mm,
using the mage, the magic user,
there
only
you go. Mhm.
because when people use magic here, when they just use like an item, like a magic item,
Mm,
they just use it and then something
mm,
happens.
yes.
With the magic users, they do this like like they had like this small animation when they
Mhm,
read like they're chanting or like they're waving their hands
Yeah.
before
mhm.
they pull off like a magic like
Look
a
at those two
spell.
beat up on that guy. Look
I
at
like
that.
that.
Look at that. Look at them. They're not even giving him a chance anymore. Like, stay
No,
down.
that's one of the exploits actually.
Yeah.
Very exploitable game this one.
Yes. All right,
And the
stay down.
mage and the elf just watching behind them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right, you guys go at it.
You guys got this.
But yes, it's a good choice, JDM. Really good choice of game. The Shadows
well,
over Mystara.
I
Yes,
mean,
Viraj.
what platforms is it available on? Sega Saturn only? Was there any other platforms it's released on?
I don't.
Sega Saturn for the
Mhm,
original and the arcades. Then
mhm,
it was re-released for the PS3, Xbox 360, and I think on not sure if it's on the Wii U as well.
mhm. It's also
Mm,
available on the digital markets right now. It's on big sale in the spring sale in the Xbox marketplace. So yeah, if you're looking to play this, now's the time to go get it. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So accessibility in terms of getting the originals is expensive, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll say like playing it on a modern system that's been re-released is probably a good way to get it if you can get
Yeah,
it.
and you get achievements as well
There's
because
that. Yeah.
I think I remember playing this over my PS3, and I got those game achievements that I had
Hmm.
while playing it. But there's a lot of them, so maybe you need to use different classes or characters to
Hmm.
unlock all of them.
That always puzzled me. Trophy hunters, achievement hunters. I've never been into the kind of thing, but just this
Yeah.
side thing. It's not directly related to beat 'em ups or anything like that. It's just trophy hunters and achievement hunters. I always wondered about that. At first when the system was introduced, I was thinking, oh, cool, you can earn stuff. Does this mean you can trade it in for credit so that you can buy more games? But it turns out it's not. It's nothing really.
Yeah.
It's just for bragging rights. Like,
For the consoles at least.
mm-hmm,
Because I think in Steam
mm-hmm,
or I remember in Ubisoft Connect, whenever you have these achievements, it gives you
mm-hmm.
like points that you
Okay.
can use to buy in-game items.
Oh, if that's the case, then I would definitely go for that. But for the consoles, you get a trophy, a silver, a gold, a
Mm.
bronze trophy, but that's it. It's just bragging rights. If I was thinking if it gave you a certain number of things that you can trade in for either better gear or more games, I would
Mm.
definitely see the point of it. But just to say that I've got a platinum trophy to because I looked up somebody's skirt or something like that, I
Mm.
no, I'm
Mm.
not really that kind of thing. All right, so that's your game of choice, first game of choice, JDM.
Yes.
Shadows over Mistara. Excellent, excellent game. Brudge, your comment.
Yeah, it looks like a beautiful game. It just sounds like a really expensive game to buy.
Raj being the marketing guy,
Okay, that's expensive. And it's all about
Mhm.
accessibility. So I suppose but then we're living in a modern age where there are other ways to play these things. So
Mhm.
you got to do what you got to do. But that's a good game to revisit if you want to look at beat 'em up if you've missed out on. That looks like
Mhm.
and the Capcom arcades. I have a Capcom home arcade here. Uh,
Mhm.
that I have up here. I might pull it down to show you the big thing. It was only ever released in Europe, actually. I might as well show it to you now.
Yeah. Is it the like the arcade stick style thing?
Yeah, it's a big
Mm.
thing. I'll pull it out. It's sitting right here on my desk. There we go.
Okay.
This thing, and I played it, and it's got a number of beat 'em ups on this thing.
Does it
Oh,
include JDM's game, the Shadows over Mistara?
if I wanted to put it on there, I could, but I haven't.
Okay, there you go.
It's
Cool.
only got 14 games on it.
Mhm.
But the 14 games has got Alien versus Predator Arcade
Oh, nice.
on
Okay.
beat 'em up, and that was it.
Mhm.
I was surprised they got the license for it on this.
Mhm.
They got obviously Final Fight is on here. You have
Mhm.
Captain Commando on here.
Okay.
Uh,
Mm.
so you have, I'm sure there's some others on here, but I forget them. They're the main that I remember when I think of the beat 'em ups that I'll play on this thing. So you got versus
Mm.
fighters on here like Darkstalkers and Street Fighter. So it's got all like the main CPS 1 and CPS 2.
Is it heavy? Is the machine heavy?
Well, I'm using one hand, but it does have a weight to it. Yeah, it has a weight
Yeah.
to it. So it's not going to shift.
Mm.
Yeah. So great thing about this Samurai parts. It's a quality machine.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
Samurai
good.
parts are very well made. But it's just a shame that it only has 14 games. But it can be modded using a Troco hack, and you can add those games that you mentioned. That game can be added easily on this.
Mhm.
On the CPS3 games can play. Some won't play well, so I don't know if that plays well. But that's another way you could do it. But anyway, I don't want to go too much into that. But Capcom, I was going to say with that device, and one thing I discovered from having a Capcom plug and play,
Mhm.
really vibrant and they're beautifully looking games because
Mhm.
they look graphically. And I think that's why Capcom did very well and were very successful with Street Fighter. The animations were on point and they were fun games to play.
Mhm.
Anyway, let's move on to the second game. Do you have another game for the JDM or is that it?
Yeah,
Or?
we
Yeah,
we kind of,
I have
we kind of
the
lost Joe for a moment, so we're down on the visuals. But yes, JDM, please continue. We'll just talk about the game itself. Go ahead.
Capcom.
yeah.
Put this back. But you go on.
So second game, it's the last game that I'm going to talk about tonight,
Mm.
and it's for the PS1. It's called Fantastic Four by
Fantastic
Acclaim.
Four.
Yes.
Okay. Describe it.
So yes, it was released early in I think mid 1997. I remember getting this game um, back when I was in the Emirates,
Mm.
and it's a beat 'em up game featuring all the main characters of the Fantastic Four, of course.
Okay.
And you have a special character in the form of She-Hulk, like she's like the honorary member of
Let's see
the
if this works.
Fantastic Four here,
Mm.
and she's wearing the classic like aerobics suit, like
Spandex.
the yeah, spandex it, or
Okay.
tanga if you call it.
Oh, tanga. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
haven't heard that term in forever. Oh, that's
It's
way
so
back in the 90s
80s.
in the Philippines. Oh, okay, 80s
Yeah.
and 90s. My goodness. Anyway, continue, JDM.
So it's a four-player game.
Mm.
You can play single player, but it's more fun if you can have a multi-tap attachment to your PS1 while playing
Mm.
this. So you can play
Okay.
as Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and the Human Torch, and the Thing. So they
Okay.
have each of them plays differently. They have different not different controls. You have two standard buttons for uh, kicking and punching. Then you also have a jump button. Then there's also a block button that you can use to prevent damage, but it uh, depletes your energy bar, the green bar behind their health.
Mm.
That circle is your health. It represents your health. It cuts like a pizza when you run out of if you get damage. And this numbers right here is the hit percentage, or
Mm.
the number. I'm not sure if it's the hit percentage or if it's the number of enemies that you have defeated. It's like the if you have the higher number, it means that you defeated most of the enemies.
Mm.
Then, if you had at least, I think, 80 or 90%, then you can proceed. Before you proceed to the next stage, you can enter the bonus stage,
Okay.
and you can fight against Incredible Hulk, um, Iceman, and Dragon Man. Not entirely sure who Dragon Man is. Not really a comic
Mm.
guy.
Yeah.
He looks like this. He's a dragon with wings, but he's a
Mm.
man.
Okay.
Thus, Dragon Man.
Yeah. Well,
He
he's
looks like
probably one of
FIFO
those.
fam
Mm.
from who's or that guy from DC, the one um that knight who becomes
Mm.
uh like a demon. He looks just like that, but a dragon. So,
Mm.
anyways, each of the characters has special unique power move set. So you
Mm.
have punching. Then there's a you can do special attacks by holding the, I think, the R2 button. Then you do a combination of direction buttons
Okay.
to release those power ups or
Mm.
those special moves. But the most powerful special move that they have, it uses half of your energy bar,
Mm.
so you can use it only twice, unless you get those purple sticks right there. It
Okay.
replenishes your health and your energy bars. And
Mm.
the one thing I like in this game is that you can turn on versus mode. It's not versus that you're going to fight with each other, but it's like your friendly fire is on, so you can beat up
Ah.
your
Mhm.
your friends
Mhm.
while beating the other enemies.
Okay.
So the premise here is it was there's this thing with Doctor Doom. He is always getting into trouble. I think he's trying to activate a time like a time travel machine
Okay.
which transports the Fantastic Four in various timelines. For
Hmm.
example, this one, I think it's alternate universe where the humans became mutants. It looks like they're fighting mutants here,
Mhm.
and the first one they're trying to save. They're trying to save New York and Manhattan. That's
Mhm.
the first. There's the first level,
Mhm.
and they meet Mole Man, and then um they got transported back into time. They met these mutants. And by the way, that's this one is the bonus level. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
see Human Torch fighting
The Silver Surfer.
Iceman.
Oh no, Iceman. Okay, there you
That's
go.
Iceman. It kind of looks
Okay.
like Silver Surfer
Kind of
because
looks like him, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's just that. I mean, say what you will, but I don't know how to say this without offending the Marvel fans. But personally speaking, I've never really found the Fantastic Four cool. I don't know. Maybe it's because maybe it's just me. The fact
Well,
that
the first comic. That's the thing. They're the first ones that he did, and they've been
mm,
surpassed by the X-Men and the Avengers. So that's why they seem so underwhelming now.
Yeah.
And that's why
mhm.
if they were ever trying to bring the Fantastic Four back into the MCU, it's like, yeah, so what?
Yeah, it just feels I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because of the fact that like Viraj says, I don't
Mm.
have too much of a background with them. All the stuff that I've seen about the Fantastic Four is that Reed Richards is a dick. The Ben Grimm is like an asshole. Sue Storm is like an asshole and a half, and and they have a rotating fourth member. It's either She-Hulk, Spider-Man, or that robot in the cartoons and TV. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, the fact is I've never really found Fantastic Four cool. But this game does look like it's something that would be fun to play. I would probably give it a go. It's a little it's not as refined in terms of graphics because it's PS1 era, of course, JDM. But the look and feel of it does seem a little bit solid. It's just the characters themselves for me are don't engage, but the gameplay does look like it might be a little bit of fun, so I might give it a
Mm.
go. It's pretty good recommendation.
And
Yeah, go ahead, GDM.
you might want to like up your temperance with this game because it's really hard, especially when there's a lot of enemies in the running in the screen. Because
Hmm.
sometimes they do their cheesy moves out out of you, and it's really frustrating. And you only have like how many credits? I think three, 5 credits. Then
Here, I
it's
like
game
I
over.
like
And
I like Gummy's take here on Twitch. He has there's Maruna Royka Gummy Tagle who says uh that looks funky. Yeah, the game itself looks funky, and he says he's probably expressing the opinion about the Fantastic Four because they're meh, like all
yeah,
right, yeah, whatever. And his statement is they're fine, but Marvel offers a whole lot of options. Yes, and Viraj actually put it properly. The fact is, this is was likely their first superhero team, and they really were not able to make them as interesting as possible as a team and as people. So from the memes that I've seen on the internet recently, Doctor Doom is the most interesting character in the whole comic. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, he's Doctor Doom seems to be the most
mm,
interesting character in the comic because he
yeah,
has good motivations. He's essentially the equivalent of Darth Vader in that he's
mm,
evil, but he's very lawful evil. He follows the
mm.
rules, and he's a benevolent dictator. John Philip Divina Gracia says, "Anong episode content today?" Today, John Philip Divina Gracia, the episode content is beat 'em ups, video game beat 'em ups of the latter years. Our follow up to an earlier episode that we had. Actually, we should do this a little bit more. Um, Follow-ups to episodes that we were not able to explore enough
Yeah.
of in previous seasons. If people liked our content right now about the new stuff, the way that Viraj proposed it, then yeah, we can definitely go back and have a look at all the other topics that we did and see if there's more games that we can expound on. So yeah, in this case, this one seems to be a good choice. GDM,
Mm.
the Fantastic Four is a meh team, but it looks
Uh,
like a fun
but
little game.
by the way, it reminds me. You know what? This the Fantastic Four reminds me of like it's like their story is like
Mm.
It's a family,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's a
Mm.
TV. It's like a TV show. It's
Yeah.
like a reality TV show where
Okay.
they're a dysfunctional family, but they
Mm.
at the end of the day they
I think that's what
just
they got.
make it. Yeah.
You know.
Going off the top of it, I think that's what they got wrong with the last Fantastic Four movies. They lost that family bond that there were. That's why the two Tim Story films that came out were actually probably better received than the new one that was. Well, I say new one; it was like so long ago now, but it was actually. But yeah, I think the IP needs some work, and obviously Disney have it now since they bought Fox.
Okay.
I mean, obviously we see Reed Richards in the Multiverse of Madness film, played by John Krasinski, I think his name is.
Yeah,
Yeah, so and that was interesting. But I mean, going back to the IP, obviously when this game came out, Fantastic Four. I mean, obviously it looks like a fun game for what it is, but it's probably cheap to get as well now. How much does it go for roughly? How much can I buy it for?
Not sure.
Now we can check it out on price charting, but it being one of the more one of the less popular and less visible games, both in genre and in terms of title, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't going for very far. How much is it going for in price charting, JDM? If you can have a quick look.
What console is it for?
PS1, PlayStation
PS1.
1.
PS1. Oh, it's probably. Oh, let's have a look. Let's just go price. Let's just,
Yeah.
What I'll do
Let's
is I'll quickly have a look. Fantastic Four. Is it PS1? Is it?
Yes, for PS1.
Yes. I think it wasn't released in other platforms.
It's about £45.
It's not so bad, if you really wanted it, you can.
At 25, you get for like 20, £30. You can get this game for.
Yeah, maybe you can even, considering how you might even just decide, get it loose and then just give it a playthrough or something. Yeah,
it's affordable. I mean, it's not like it's not dirt cheap, but it's affordable. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So there. So yeah.
Fantastic choice.
Yes. Fantastic choice, JDM. All right.
All right. So it's some interesting, sort of more later, modernish looking from the 16-bit era that you've chose. 32, fifth generation onwards, and they should be. There are ways that I know that they're not as accessible as what I'm about to sort of mention, but if you can play them however you can, that's what I always say. Anyway, I'll talk about my 3. I've got about 3. I've got time. I'll try and get the detail in if possible. So I'll pick the first major one that would have come after chronology, after Streets Rage 4, and it's got that DNA with it since .mu, who published Streets Rage 4 with Sega on board for Streets Rage 4, went and did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. That's the game that I'm mentioning. Now that's a multi-format release. I believe you can play it on Steam as well, but it's also on PlayStation and Switch. And I'm also talking about the Switch version, which I've played. Now, this game is outstanding. Much more in the same vein as Streets Rage 4. You've got all these special attacks, different combinations you can use. You can play as up to 6 characters. Obviously, you've got the Ninja Turtles, all of them. But you can also unlock Oprah O'Neil is there, actually, sorry, and Splinter. And there's also Casey Jones. You unlock him. It's a bit of a spoiler there, but you unlock him when you beat the game. So you have a number of characters you can play as. Now, what I also like about this game, this is not just 2-player catch co-op. It's not just 4-player catch co-op. You can play a whopping 6 characters. 6 characters at the same time. So if you want to have a proper brawl, you got 6 mates over, you have all the different characters you want to play as, you could do that, and that's crazy. And I have played it in that way. I've had friends over, and we've done that. And What I will say is it does get a bit congested on the screen, but if you've got a big TV like mine, it still sort of happens. That's my sort of little criticism I'd have if you do try and play it. But it's a hell of a lot of fun. But there you are. Look, you're all there, and you're all fighting. You're all fighting all the foot soldiers. The animation and the art design on this is on point. It is outstanding. And it's just a hell of a lot of fun. What I also like about it is, the sprites aren't super big like they are on, say, Streets of Rage 4. They're a bit smaller, so you can get a lot more detail into the screen. Obviously, you have items and weapons and stuff, and you've got all your special attacks. There's a lot going on here, as you can see. I know it's like sort of lagging with the screen. There's a lot of detail going on, but I promise you, it plays very smooth when playing with 6 players on your Nintendo Switch. So it's a lot of fun. You have super attacks, special attacks, combination attacks, all sorts of things you can do with this. Lots of combos you can do. And again, like, you don't have to be familiar with it. I mean, everybody knows Ninja Turtles. I think
Absolutely.
Ninja Turtles, Hero Turtles. Obviously, there were beat 'em up games on the NES. And in the Super Nintendo, let's not forget Turtles in Time in the arcades, obviously. So Konami made those. Yeah, and they're really good. And obviously, a different company made this. .mu published it, and you're thinking, oh, okay, is it going to be as good? And the crazy thing is, yes, not only is it as good, it's better. It is a better game. And that's what you worry about with a sequel or something with the same DNA being made too late by different developers. Like Konami don't have the license. It's obviously .mu that published it with whoever the developers are, which I forget, ashamedly so. But .mu who published this, they also did Streets of Rage. So there's the quality that goes with the .mu brand. So you have that, and the idea is Shredder's coming back. He's going to cause some trouble, and the Turtles and crew, they go through the city stage by stage, and there's about 7 or 8 levels. I think there's even more than that because I haven't played in a long time. And there's diverging paths, little bonus bits as well. So it's not a linear game per se. There's also diverging paths you can take in the city with your little. They've got that little. What's it called? The Turtle Mobile. I can't remember what the vehicle was called, but it's the teenage. Machine that they're all sort of in, and they go that way, and they're going throughout the city. And you fight, the classic villains. You've got Rocksteady and Bebop. I think villains on this particular level you can see in the video here. But as you can see, it's crazy. Look at the detail, the attention to detail, the fighting. Look at all the characters. They've got their life bars. They've got all the combos all coming up, simultaneously. There's just so much going on, and it's just a lot of fun as a party game. If you're playing with people. Again, you see the animations. You see obviously characters from the TV show. So definitely for those of you who are fans of the lore, you're going to enjoy this game. And they've included all the villains, and all the other side characters like the Neutrinos or whatever, whoever was in the show. And in fact, me watching this or playing this game made me want to watch the TV show again, just to familiar myself with the lore and the characters. That's what it is. Also, Ninja Turtles started off as a comic. Let's not forget that. So, definitely an outstanding beat 'em up in modern terms, and it's cheap. It is affordable. You can download this for nothing now on your Switch or your PlayStation 4, 5, or your Steam or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm sure it's available on the Xbox side of things.
It is, yes. Actually, it was on Game Pass too. I got to give it a go, and I'll say one thing about it: it is fluid. It's like it's as smooth as butter, and it's really, really good in terms of its movement. And you know how some games are like jagged in terms of its animation. Like you can see the difference between cells one moment to another. The way that I am right now, it's really bad. Like because I'm doing the broadcast of how the footage looks like. But yeah, this is fluid. It's smooth, and despite the what's the right term for it? The 8-bit artwork, the indie 8-bit artwork style that they're trying to emulate from the back in the 90s. The animation is absolutely gorgeous. It's fluid, and it's a treat for the eyes.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of 8 and 16-bit, I would say, style, but absolutely outstanding in terms of the textures that they've used and how they've modernized this game. And they've gone 2D. Obviously, you've got a 3D sort of play area, 3D sort of play area, and you can sort of see who's on your level when you're fighting people and villages and villains in whatever direction you want to go for. You see all those pieces there. it's just an outstanding game, and I mean, I know Sedan says Streets of Rage is like the best beat 'em up out there, but I would challenge him to play this one because this actually. No, honestly, I'm not even joking here. This actually does come close to Streets of Rage 4 in terms of the quality that it's out there. I mean, I'd say it's pretty much on par. If you're not too much of a fan of the gritty nature of Streets of Rage 4 and you want something a bit more child friendly, then probably this is probably much more. And I would certainly say that's a good one. So we've got
If I could say one thing, if I could say one thing about it, I could say one thing about it, it's the fact that whoever developed this is one thing that's missing from a lot of media, remakes, remasters, retools, or whatever. It's the fact that they looked at the original 90s 80s 90s cartoons and possibly the comic books, that they were very respectful of the source material.
Yeah.
They tried to make sure that whoever was going to be playing this, whether you're a new to the franchise or you're an old hand, somebody who's who's been a fan since day one, you can say, yeah, these are my turtles.
You know what? Actually,
yes, JD.
I think the one who developed these games actually played the earlier Ninja Turtles games, especially Turtles of Time, because when was Turtles in Time? I think it's early 90s, right?
Yeah,
then those kids grow up, they took up game development, and they actually might be, but most likely.
Yeah.
So I don't think they don't need to do their homework because they've already done it.
Oh, Turtles in Time, 1992. 1992 is when it was out. In
1992, yeah.
They were kids back then. Then when they grew up, they developed this game.
Well, it's like that game had a baby.
Yes, I guess that's the right term for it.
Yeah, this is and every generation wants the younger generation to do better than that one did, and this is a classic example of successful parenting. That's what it is.
Yeah, this is my message to everybody here in the audience, and especially to you, SBI, Sweet Baby Inc. Respect the source material. Yeah. We don't need to be browbeaten or lectured or whatever because of the fact that we know what we like and we're willing to pay for whatever it is that respects us back. So, Viraj actually said that this is like the love child of how things were back then.
It's also if you play them all, this is the best Ninja Turtles game of all time. In terms
there you go.
It's there. And let's be honest here. I mean, what else is? I mean, can somebody ever contest and say Turtles in Time is better? If you're saying that, I say to you, it's just nostalgia talking.
Agreed. Yeah. In terms of gameplay, this one is tops. I have to say that. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so that's my thoughts on Turtles in Time. Obviously, Joe is going to say, well, April O'Neil is far too overdressed, and I get that.
Yeah.
Outrageous. That jumpsuit. Have you got any other clothes you could wear?
They zip up the jumpsuit.
Yeah.
George.
I think it's a very cool game.
Yes.
There are some comments in the
I have questions.
Okay, I have questions. Okay.
Look at the comment section. Go on, what's your question? Go on.
Go ahead.
Are there any jiggle physics?
No. There might be a little bit, but the sprites aren't that big where you'd see it. But I would say there's no real what I'd say. You just see her breathing, and that's it.
I mean, it's not the April O'Neil that you're familiar with when you search the hubs, Joe. So too bad. But she does have the proper curves. I'll have to say, yeah.
So moving on.
Like if I pause the game.
Okay, so
I mean, we could have a quick look while she's doing her.
If I pause the game at the right moment.
At the spinning roundhouse.
There's enough female versus fighting characters as well as beat 'em up characters you can look at. Why does you have to look at April O'Neil in that fashion? I mean, what? Not enough women for you?
Because she's the only one there.
Because she's a strong, powerful woman. Give it to her, right?
Yeah, so is Blaze Fielding from Streets of Rage 4. You want to see some?
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
Streets of Rage 4 has a bit more of that, I would say. But even because female characters,
and there's a bit more jiggle physics in that. Yes.
Yeah,
No, there's
definitely.
not two. Yeah. All right. So what's your second game, Viraj?
Before I want to move on to second, I want to talk to there's some comments in the comment section that I
Oh
want to
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about.
Go ahead. Mhm.
Let's have a look. So I've got Andrew Coe posted a while back now about how he, Golden Axe 2 and Double Dragon was first beat 'em ups, and
Oh,
you know,
nice.
I get
Okay.
that. I can understand that. Double Dragon, definitely a lot of people's first beat 'em up game, and for me it was Golden Axe. That was my first.
Mm.
Obviously, you got our very own Raymond talking about Battle Circuit, Hook, and X-Men Legends 1 and 2, and X-Men Mutant Apocalypse by Capcom, I'm guessing, and then those sort of brawler games that were in the arcade. Great. We got Ishii, who's here.
Mhm. Yes, Miss Eshi. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, and she's saying, what did she say recently?
Sailor
To
Moon.
answer today's question, my favorite beat 'em up, and probably the one I can still
Oh
remember.
yeah, Sailor
Sailor
Moon.
On the
Mhm.
Famicom. I still remember playing
Wait,
it with a friend.
I do
So,
remember Sailor Moon beat 'em up on the arcade, though. I do remember
yeah, it
that.
was a
I don't
Super
remember one
Mega
from
Drive.
Famicom.
Remember that?
Mhm.
God
Super
knows I
Famicom.
remember that.
I was thinking the Super Famicom because there were 8 Sailor Moon games on that system, and there were about
Okay.
3 of them that were beat 'em ups on there. I think, yeah, and Sega had one beat 'em up is on the Mega Drive in Japan, or a Sailor Moon game. But to be honest, it's a very basic. I mean, if you love Sailor Moon, it's a very basic beat 'em up. I've played them all, and they're all right. So,
There goes Joe.
Dare you,
What is
sir.
it?
what did you say?
Wait, he did just this is his trademark gasp of yeah.
Sailor Moon games are basic.
Yeah. No, he's
Yeah,
talking
well,
about the
that's not
move
basic.
sets. He's talking about the move sets.
Very basic, very primitive. I'll say
Okay.
that. I am.
Even
but-
double down on it. Primitive.
Although, if they make a modernized beat 'em up of Sailor Moon based on Sailor Moon Crystal, I'd buy it. I'd probably buy it. Yeah. All right. Excellent.
I'll move on to my other games, which are basically the ones of sequel. Well, they both came out very quickly after each other.
Okay.
You heard me muttering in the group chat about it. It's River City Girls.
River City Girls. Okay.
River City Girls. Now, I thought let's give this a go. Come on.
Okay.
I thought let's do this. And well, I had this on my Switch download. I had Streets of Rage 4. I had Ninja Turtles in time. There's obviously Scott Pilgrim versus World. That's another throwaway mention. That's a nice modern one that I want to throw out. That's a good one. But River City Girls came out then. I remember River City Ransom. Okay, and we never got it. Obviously, you got this lovely cartoon presentation at the beginning with, and it's basically the short story of this is those 2 characters you see here in the credits here is Kunio and Ricky, and they're like the characters of the Kunio-kun franchise. It's mostly known as Kunio-kun in Japan. Most of the games stayed in Japan, including the Super Famicom one. Eventually, it's only recently got a re-release as River City Girls Zero in the West, but that's after the success of River City Girls. So what it is Technos Japan, who made the original River City Ransom, and they've gone. Okay, they don't exist anymore. So the company who picked this one up, who I deliberately forget, sadly, not deliberately forget, but unintentionally forget, they bought the rights, and Way Forward, they went and published and developed it with the developers. But they've got the rights to River City Girls, and what they've done is they've taken the lore from those people who love those original games. Obviously, they realize there's something that they could do with this, and it's just such a fun game. Like, it took what River City Ransom did, which is basically an open world beat 'em up game. Fundamentally, for those who have played it, you play as these 2 characters. They got to go like save their girl from the gangsters in the high school. And they flipped it, where this time the story is the 2 girls now have to go and save their boyfriends or whatever and leave the high school to do it. That's really funny, that little twist. And if you're familiar with the lore of the original games, this is really good. Now, one thing I love about the game is the art style. Outstanding with the animation in the presentation intro. So the art style and the presentation, outstanding. Okay. Megan McDuffie, who did the soundtrack for this, I'll tell you something. I bought this, I've got this game on my Switch, which I've managed to download this game, not via legitimate means, but I've got it on my Switch. Okay, I like this game that much. Right, I wanted the soundtrack to it because the soundtrack is what really pulled it in for me. Because you know me, I love my soundtracks. The only way I could get the soundtrack is I bought the game, and someone was reselling it, and I thought, great, I'll do it. So I actually own the game, even though I legitimately bought the game. I've actually legitimately bought the game because I wanted the soundtrack. What do you say? That's hilarious. That's just like reverse piracy. What can I say? But anyway, I've got this game now officially. So, and it's worth buying, honestly, on physical or on digital. It's so good. And look at this teacher. Look how scared he is in this video. They've added that feature in. them just them starting off and they're leaving the classroom and they're going to go. Obviously, he plays Kyoko and Misako, and they're the two leads. And I play Misako, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they're both very good characters. And what makes this outstanding is you can recruit other characters when you beat them, like you see now, and they could be like a backup just if you're in tight space, and you can use them by pressing the ZR button on your Switch, and they can come out. And another thing is, you level up. So, for those of you who like RPGs or leveling up, this game, is much bigger than it looks. You can level up your character. You can make them stronger as time goes on. They get experience points, and they also you pick up money from the characters as well. So as you can see, $7.75 or whatever it is she has. So when you beat up a person, some money falls out their pocket, and you pocket it. And you can use the money, later on in the games, there are shops in the urban streets and stuff, and you can buy things, just like you could with River City Ransom. So you buy items, accessories, and shops, but ones that will make your attacks effective with certain things and whatever. Ones that will obviously be health items that will heal you and things like that. So you have those sort of things. And there's also a dojo as well in the street. And you can spend money learning extra moves and pull off extra combination attacks. That's really cool. So that's one thing I liked about it. There's also Easter eggs, like you can smash that little machine, you get some health coming out of that vending machine, which I only sort of discovered later on in the game. Also, there's side quests as well you can do. So you might meet an NPC in the game saying, "Oh, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?" You do that little side quest, you get extra money, you get extra points, experience, and you level up quicker as well. So it's not just a linear, it's a linear game. You also have an open world experience. We can go back and backtrack. And because it is a map of River City, I don't know if we'll show it on the demo. You'll see you also got bus stops where you can walk from one area to another, which is really makes it a lot quicker to traverse the game. So I like that. And also you got these little cutscenes, and there's the voice acting on this is on point, and it's hilarious. Like when you listen to the sort of dialogue that was put in here, it's ingenious. So not only is it a really fun beat 'em up, it's also got character to it. It has a plot to it, which keeps you engaged and it makes you want to play. And the soundtrack is just so much of a joy to listen to. So I really love River City Girls. It's actually my favorite beat 'em up in terms of modern eras. Like it does something that Streets of Rage 4 doesn't do, and it does something that the Ninja Turtles games do. And it's not really fair to compare them because they're much more sort of linear arcade style fighting games, whereas this is more open world. But I actually kind of like this more than that style, to be honest. Actually, it's something that I've so my eyes because I did play River City Ransom for a bit, but I didn't really get into it because it's so primitive. This is actually the way it should be. So again, lots of Easter eggs in this game, lots of fun. 2 secret endings. Well, there's one secret ending on this game. So obviously, if you get the main ending, it's different. There's also another ending. You get the proper ending, the happy ending, the good ending, and that involves you having to do something. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'll let you work it out for yourselves. So River City Girls, a cheap game to get on digital. I'd recommend anyone who's into beat 'em ups to play this, who hasn't tried this. It's a lot of fun, and a lot of tongue in cheek. Again, the first one is 2-player couch co-op. That's it, and that's the limitations of it, and that's good enough as far as I'm concerned. And I thought that would be a lot more fun if I did have someone else to play with, but playing it on single player was fun enough.
I do remember that the Kunio-kun games also had a release on the West. I think that it's in the arcade. It's called Renegade. I could be wrong.
It was the first sort of early Kunio-kun game, and it was a Master System release as well. It also had some microcomputer releases, but there were so many others that we never got. I think Renegade was like the second in the franchise, and River City Ransom was like the fourth. I could be wrong. There were some that we just didn't get, and there's also the dodgeball one and things like that.
Oh yes, I think I think they even have a compilation nowadays of Kunio.
They do re-release it on the newer platforms as compilations, but I think they're Japan only. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong. Definitely something that you want to look into if you look at the classics. I mean, obviously they did a compilation with the Ninja Turtles game called Cowabunga Collection.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so they did that, and if you want that, that's a really good way to play it. Sadly, I think they've withdrawn it already on digital, so it's always good to get.
Okay.
I heard that they were withdrawing it on digital because of licensing or some crap. That's
I
why another
hate
case
that.
physical. If it's an IP like Ninja Turtles, just get it on physical because you're gonna not be able to get the license forever. So, but that's River City Girls 1, okay, where you sort of rescue your boys from the mob boss, or you think they're captured or whatever. But that's basically it. All right. So I really like this game.
All right. Good. Very cool. Joe, do you have JDM and Joe? Do you have any questions?
I don't want to hear no lolicon shit from you. There is you know, against my will, I have seen things about these two characters that I shouldn't have on the internet, and they have
Against your
wrong
will.
place.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Okay.
But
Against your will.
Yeah.
it's there. But okay, so I think that answers your question, Sir Joe. You're going to ask that question. It's there. It's done.
Against your will, my ass.
Yeah.
This is coming from the guy who keep on sharing some questionable pics inside in our group chat. Okay. Looking at the gameplay and the overall game design of River City Girls. Looking at the video here, pixel art, sure, but
Mhm.
what I appreciate is that how fluid the animation is. Like they spent a little bit more frames in each character. It's
Mm.
not like back in the on the 8-bit and the 16-bit games where one frame they're like this, and then when they fall down they're like this already. I mean, there's some frames in between that you can see them actually move. Like I'm guessing, how many frames is this? 30, 60?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What I will say is I love
Kind
the
of
effort.
looks like.
I love the animation that they put on their faces when they get beaten or then they're angry or whatever. That girl's just looking. It's just like so many different animations, and it's just outstanding. It's like, you know, I remember the first game that really showed animation like this was Earthworm Jim, like loads of animation in terms of what the character the sprites could do, but the sprites could do so much in terms of animation. So definitely outstanding.
And this is pretty anime-ish, but also gives credit to the gal culture of Japan. Sir Joel might know this.
Yeah.
Because because looking at the classmates, there are some people. There are some background characters here who have just regular black hair, and
Mhm.
then the gals, they're the ones who are overly dressed, colorful,
They're gyarus.
short skirts, gyarus,
Mhm.
Obviously,
colored
there's
hair, and all that highlights.
there are some Japanese references in this game because
Mhm.
there's a lot of Japanese culture here and a lot of Easter eggs in regards to Japanese culture. So definitely a lot of cultural aspects from Japan. Like it see, there's Neketsu High School there, and that's obviously a homage to the original game called Neketsu Kunio-kun or whatever it's called. So there you go. And you got
I
little anime.
feel like they used. It kind of seems like they used like Flash animation in this. Kind
Yeah.
A
of.
little bit. Yeah, I guess it does feel like it.
And there's also voice actors as well, and they're talking as well. So that's really cool when the lot of detectives go in there. The voice acting is on point, and it's just immerses you into the story, and it's hilarious with the jokes they throw out. So, but anyway, that's River City Girls 1.
Mm.
First one. The second one is what I'm playing now currently because I've beaten this game.
Okay.
Now that's a bigger game, a much bigger game. They're much more ambitious with the second one. A much
All right.
bigger
So
game.
let's see the footage for the second one.
So it's obviously a direct sequel to River City Girls. So they found their boyfriends, but now the city's like got some gangsters and there's some gangster stuff going on. Now, it looks very much in terms of how it plays and it behaves. It's very similar to the first game in the franchise. They're pretty much the same. You obviously get unlocked.
Oh, I can see some jiggle physics there. Yes.
Yeah, unlocked.
This is like the first game, but they're outside.
They've obviously
But they're outside of the school now. Yeah.
No, well, you're outside the school in the first game too. The bit you saw was just in the school. You do go out and visit the city, but the city's a lot bigger.
They're more in the city here. Yeah.
Much more the city. It's basically the same city, the same area. So this was also in the first game, but they've changed the aesthetics a bit because obviously time has gone on. Similar in the sense that okay, you get money, you get more powers, you got more bars, you got more people that you can sort of have as your sidekicks or whatever. But this one's got 4-player couch co-op as well. So you can play as Kunio, Riki, Misako, and Kyoko. So you've got 4 characters you can play as at the same time, making it a lot more of a better sort of fun multiplayer experience. On the multiplayer, it's bigger. It's, if you want to play this one big adventure, but it is a much more deeper game and it's a longer game. So it's not like Streets of Rage you can play it in like a 3-hour session or 2 time with 4 or 5. You know, you have to like. So it can take 10 hours to probably beat this game because you've got to level up. Everyone's got to get their weapons and items or whatever, and they have to again a lot more side quests, a lot more side missions. But go on, your question.
Are they going to get it on with the boyfriends?
With regret, I don't think. I would have liked. Well, actually, at the end of the first game, you sort of, yeah, I don't want to say too much, but you kind of like, it's implied that they did at the end of the first game. But in the second game, you know, what is you fight, the first boss you fight is the brother of the disgraced Yakuza boss that you humiliated in the first game. Okay. But then once you realize you're up against like the Yakuza, that's basically the villains in this game so far, from what I can see. But there's also little side missions you have to do. So, but it's a huge, like, I looked at the maps, I thought, God, there's so many areas.
Right.
Big. So it is a lot. It's going to take me a lot longer. I think 3 times as long to beat this game than it did the first, which is kind of what you want from a sequel, right? You want it to be bigger, better, and much more fun than the first. But my God, like, you're getting a lot of game for the money you pay, and again, you can get this cheap as well because it's been out for a while now. Yeah. So River City Girls 2, definitely I'll get 2 plum from. You know, I'm not finished yet.
So you mentioned fight the Yakuza.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see some NTR shit here?
What do you mean
Sir
by
Joe?
NTR?
It's a Japanese term called netorare, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's I guess the equivalent in
It's Rule
American.
34, Sir Parad.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. I don't know about. I don't know. Obviously, it's not. It's rated a teen, this game, because of the violence in it. But I don't know if that's
Right.
It's got
Just for the violence, but no shagging.
no, nothing explicit in that regard. There aren't any sexual references that are made in this game. I mean, obviously, it's love, isn't it? Obviously, they mention their relationships and how they behave and things like this. There's
Checking
cartoons.
some right now.
But there are, I mean, obviously, I haven't gotten that far into the game. Obviously, that's the map of the whole city, and you got a map of the first game, but this is like so much bigger, so much bigger. I love these games, and I love them to make a River City Girls 3 because I mean, I like these. Sort of games. So there we go.
I mean, I just had a quick look. There's actually a River City Girls 0, though, Viraj.
Yes, Zero is a remake of the SNES game. So the SNES game, that was just a remake, a Western re-release of it, and they've enhanced it, and they've put on proper dialogue. Because there was actually a patch where you could put English translation on the SNES ROM, but there's so much swearing and foul language in that.
Okay.
It's a bit sweary. But with the proper localization, which is what River City Girls 0 is, it's a much more refined port for Super Nintendo. And also, someone's actually ripped the ROM so you can play it on a Super Nintendo. For River City Girls. But you can actually play. Obviously, I've got River City Girls 0 on the Switch, and that's how I intend to play it. And that's actually obviously going back to the Super Nintendo one and remastering that and releasing that. And it tells you the story before that. And this is to do with Kunio-kun and Ricky being in prison. And obviously, these two are side characters in the SNES games. In fact, it makes a joke in the first River City Girls game. Some of the NPC guys, well, you guys were just side characters in only one game. I don't know why you got your own video game or something like that. They do make fun of that. It's funny because if you know the lore, you just have to laugh at it. And it is actually for the fans, this game as well. But it's so much fun. It is just so much fun. So
it's this one in Stellar Blade that tells me that should send the message to game developers in the West that, you know, a girl can be kick ass and she doesn't have to be ugly doing it. You know, she can be just as feminine, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is the art style of this is definitely very much Japanese and everyone's good looking. Not everyone's good looking. There is a creepy guy in here, and there's funny characters in here. But definitely a game, I think you can get it cheap, guys. Guys listening, Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge, Street Fighter 4, Scott Pilgrim, the other ones, you can get them cheap on digital. You can get these cheap. If you're just looking for something easy to pick up and play, if you want to have some friends over who are into something that's not going to be too involving, too technical for their brains that will fry them, and you want to play just a beat 'em up, an arcade style game, those are there. River City Girls is a bit more intense, but it's a really fun adventure game that you and a good friend or even a girlfriend or whoever you're with, you know, you can sit and play and enjoy one evening, and you can just pick up and play where you left off. It's not gonna, you'll know exactly where you left off. And us adults who are getting older, who don't have time to play video games as much as we used to, you know, we don't play something too in depth. We want a challenge. That's what this is. It's just as you want it to be. You got that challenge, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice,
fun game. And a lot of these beat-em-ups I've mentioned, I'm sure I don't know about you guys, but the ones I've mentioned are really, really fun. With the addition of Street Fighter 4, which Sedan mentioned as well. These modern beat-em-ups are cheap, they're affordable, they're well animated, they're just so much fun, and they're definitely worth playing. You don't have to go too far back now. I think there was a period where you'd have to go back to play these beat 'em ups on the Mega Drive. That's what people were talking about. But now they've made these modern games to the standard of the Mega Drive. It's like I said, Shredder's Revenge is the baby of Turtles in Time. Yeah? Or is the baby of what they did on the Mega Drive. They built it of that quality and it does better. River City Girls is the baby of the River City Ransom and the Technos Japan team who made those original games, who I'm sure if they're alive today, they're smiling. Those who are in their grave, they're smiling because the people who carried on their legacy paid tribute to it. So you have that. And there's so many more beat 'em ups now being made because of things like this. People are, it's a resurgence to beat 'em up in the beat 'em up genre, which I'm really happy to say is happening because this is a genre that we needed to see again because it's been a hiatus since the 32-bit era of these being made. Because when they're in the PS2 era, 6th generation, 7th generation, we didn't really see this 8th generation. We got some good stuff. So let's see what we got. We beat 'em up 2D stuff because not all good games have to be 3D. You got some 2D beat 'em ups. So there we go. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Give them a go. They're cheap and they're fun.
And they're big.
Yeah.
There we go. So I think that pretty much, concludes my thoughts on modern beat 'em ups. We got them coming out now. We got loads of them being released, loads of them being still in development now. I'm guessing. Give them a go. Just give them a go because there's so many cool games out there. But now there's a resurgence in this genre. They're cheap before we got no excuse. Go for it. Like I said, I'm going around in circles now. Hey, what do you guys think? You guys going to give this a go? Give it a go.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm not as familiar with the Kunio-kun series, but I did play Renegade and River City Ransom. I think I even played that on Game Boy Advance. I could be wrong on that one.
You're right. There was an EX version on there.
Yes, I think I did. Yes, I did play the original.
All right,
yeah, go ahead, John.
I saw some pictures, and I'm gonna do it.
Oh my goodness! Okay. And this has been the final episode, the Timeless Gamer Show, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoy. No, but yeah, it's. I definitely
let's
will
do it.
give
I'm
a
gonna
shot.
do it.
Oh no!
I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot indeed.
Play the video game.
Shot in the face.
Oh my goodness!
Play the video game.
Yes, play the video game. I'll definitely give it a go. Again, this is not my genre of this is not my forte genre, but I'm willing to give anything a shot as long as it is fun. There you go.
You know what? I just renewed my Xbox Game Pass right now, and I saw Turtles in the
Shredder's Revenge. Yes, give it a shot. Yes. Game Pass. If it's still there, then yes, definitely give it a shot, JDM.
And you don't even need to have. To be honest, you don't even need to have a console to play River City Girls because it's available on iOS.
Oh, okay.
That's a funny thing. I just looked it up now. For bloody hell. The first game's on iOS, but yeah, River City Girls 2 is you have to have a system.
Okay.
Switch, PS5, PS4.
Look at that! Even they even have the original Kunio-kun tiny little character jumping in, and
you're Ryan. Yeah, he's there. So you have these characters. It's hilarious.
That's funny. Okay, I like it. I like that.
It's like Double Dragon, Kunio-kun. So it's all the same company, isn't it? And Renegade. It's all the same company, Technos Japan, who did it, and that's what they did best in the 90s, beat 'em ups until obviously Technos Japan were no more. Technos America were gone, and obviously they picked up the IP and they did a great job, and I'm so happy and I'm glad that they did that. So there you go. So yeah, outstanding game.
All right, excellent choices.
Okay, guys.
Garage.
So things to do this weekend: play the console version of this game. Then when you go outside, play the mobile game.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were gonna go when you go outside, go beat up other people. In real life.
Maybe.
What I like about beat 'em ups is it does let you if you're upset or you're angry, it's a good way to take out your rage.
That's true.
So like a video game character.
That's very true. It's a nice little stress reliever.
Yeah. It is.
All right. So. I'll just like I mentioned, in my case, the beat 'em up genre is not my genre of choice, but I do play every now and then. And my first game of choice, so I'll make this short because I'm not as well versed with it as I can possibly be. My first game of choice is a game called Dragon's Crown, but the version that I played is Dragon's Crown Crown Pro, which came out on the PlayStation 4. It originally came out on the PlayStation Vita, Dragon's Crown. It came out on PlayStation 4, Dragon's Crown Pro, and it I was fully anticipating that Joe would be the one to choose this game because of the artwork. If you guys are at all familiar with the game with the game company called Vanillaware, who did the game called Odin Sphere, and recently a game called 13 Sentinels. It is that artwork. It's very, if you're at all interested in watercolors, or oil paintings, the artwork for Dragon's Crown Pro is exactly what you're looking for. It is the kind of thing that you would look at and say, I'm playing through I'm playing through an oil painting here. And it has the classic classes of fighter, the dwarf, the elf, the mage.
The
They
witch.
have a relatively new one called the Amazon, and yeah, each one has a certain move set that you can use. And Joe just intentionally paused that right there, didn't he?
I can see the glitter in his
Yeah,
eyes.
exactly. Joe
But I
intentionally
yeah,
paused it
it's,
at that
it's,
exact moment. Yeah,
you want to talk
he's
about a
focusing
dual
on the
physics.
Amazon right now. So it is a beat 'em up. It is a side-scrolling beat 'em up that has it's a two-dimensional side-scrolling action role-playing game in which characters take on the role of an adventurer exploring dungeons in the Kingdom of Hydeland. Um, Basically, you travel to different parts of the map. You go beat up monsters, classic monsters like goblins, minotaurs, and harpies, things like that. And eventually, there's different environments as well. So it's not just going through the town and going to dungeons and everything, but it is a very highly detailed in terms of artwork. Fluidity is top notch. The movement of the characters is very fluid. It has weaponry. You can pick up weaponry and use them like ballistas. What do you call that? Arbalests. I was saying ballistas. That's a land-based weapon. Arbalests, crossbows, daggers, bombs, things like that. And it you have the mechanic of having along a thief with you who picks locks, unlocks treasure chests, opens doors for you, detects traps, things like that. So as the main character, there are, I think, 5 or 6 different characters, and all of them have different endings. You fight various monsters, you fight through various dungeons, you take on missions, you take on quests. And if there's anything that I can say about Dragon's Crown as a beat 'em up, it is a feast for the eyes in terms of uh if you were at all a classical D&D kind of player, aside from what JDM presented earlier with the Chronicles of Mystara, this is the game that you want to play as a side-scrolling beat 'em up D&D D&D fanatic, because if you're a Dungeons and Dragons player, the way that you envision things in your head as a Dungeons and Dragons player is going to be the way that things are presented here in a modern scale. JDM presented the arcade style, the classical scale of classical palette of how D&D characters look like. This is very much a modern look of how D&D should look like, and Vanillaware aced it. We're talking like good gameplay, good variety in terms of characters. The hit detection is very what's the right word for it? It's very intricate, I guess, because it's accurate. It's intricate. It's accurate. Special moves abound. You can build up your character to have special moves. You can spend skill points to build up his move set, and you can slam through the game in, I would say, about 10 hours or so, 10 to 12 hours per character. If you're a completionist and you wanted to go through all 6 characters, that would be a good solid 80 hours. Different storylines, different backgrounds, different endings. But yeah, um if I were to encounter somebody like this in real life with those muscle sets, I would just, shit my pants and just leave the room. But yeah, so I'm not going to go into too much detail.
I mean, the
Just
fact that
that, yeah.
the fact that the company that made this is called Vanillaware is just so wrong. There's
Mm,
nothing vanilla
yeah.
about this.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's there. I guess it's ironic for them. They wanted to show how
I'm
not
looking here
vanilla they are.
and a controversy, which is Polygon's Daniel Raindu found the game's over-exaggerated art style alienated and gross in its depiction of women, noticing that the Amazon and Sorceress
Screw that. Screw that. Screw that. Screw that. Screw that. Screw that. Screw whoever said that. Yeah, screw whoever says shit like that. Honestly, I'm going to express my personal opinion on this. Screw whoever says shit like that. Okay, that's my personal opinion on it. Because if you say that it depicts women in a terrible light, the only way that you can depict a woman in a terrible light is to make her look like a man. This is.
I think there is something to be said about that. Yeah, because there's
yeah.
I think that's a contemporary issue now, which is a lot of Western developers talk about how
this is the second time JDM has seen me rant on air.
a lot of women look ugly, or like men, or they don't look normal. They look weird. Whereas, okay, you can argue that the Japanese developers, they develop very attractive female characters. And in all fairness, let's be honest here. We're not. I mean, this isn't like it's not like they're naked or anything. I mean, you can argue that they are, but
no.
It's fantasy. That's what it is. And
yes,
there's an age rating that comes with this game. And if you don't want to see overly sexualized women, you're an adult, you're mature enough not to buy this game. You obviously said you can look at the cover. Now, this is a famous game because of the sexualized characters. I'm aware of the Sorceress and the Amazon. Definitely in this game because I've seen depictions of them in some sort of other thing. But yeah, this is very. I mean, this is a game that I think looks like it could be a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I mean, gameplay wise, personally speaking, this was one of the beat 'em ups that sold me on the idea of beat 'em ups. I'm not very good at real time battles or button mashers or things like that. But this game was, well, like you said, Viraj, your term is on point. This game, the gameplay was very much on point. And aside from the classic games of the Towers of Doom and Chronicles of Mystara, Knights of the Round, King of Dragons, things like that, I never really was very good at it. And this game, I played through it well, and I enjoyed my time with it. I'll have to say that.
Speaking of pressing my buttons, that there's some fluid coming out of my D&D.
My goodness. Okay.
So when people keep saying, overly sexualized women in video games, but you see guys like this on a video game,
yeah, exactly.
And no one's batting an
no
eye.
Complaints. No complaints at all.
What?
What I'm finding fascinating is and how. What is this? This thing here is what bothers me about that image more than anything.
Look at that. Look, even the old guys jacked up. But yeah, they complain about the women. Screw that.
We know it's not real life. I mean, can't we enjoy the spectacle of what it is? I mean, we know it.
Exactly. We appreciate the beauty of the human form, both male and female. And
even though it's not real,
even though it's not real, yeah, it's exaggerated. It's an art style.
Okay. My argument is this. Okay. So game developers will make let's we'll use the term objectify. We'll make the women characters have overly developed bodies. Sure, because that's fan service for the male audience.
Here's my reply to that, Joe.
And
if you're not servicing the fans, who are you servicing?
Wow.
No, what I'm saying is, if this is fan service for the men, so I'm guessing this one is fan service for the women.
Yes, exactly. Conan the Barbarian. That's basically Conan the Barbarian right there.
Say something like that about that.
And then some bullshit will say, "Oh, these games are marketed for guys."
Or sexist, whatever. Okay, it's the male gaze.
No. I mean, there are characters who look like this, so because they want to pander to the female players as well.
But saying that, I think that kind of look can scare a lot of women too.
That's true. I agree. Yeah, a lot of women will look at this and say, this is not a little bit more than I bargained for, shall we say?
But it's a fantasy world where men can get jacked like that, and
exactly.
have the powers to do it. So anyway, but yeah, going back to the game question, it does look like a lot of fun. I like the animation, I like the textures, I like the graphics. It looks like fun. It's a game that I would play. It might be one that I'll play later online. I want to play it because look at the women in it are particularly like they have that sexy look to them. Not because of that reason, but I like the fact that the game looks like a lot of fun to play.
It's
That's
the
all.
fact that for me it was the art style in terms of the fact that it looks like an oil painting. It's amazing. Whoever did the
Yeah.
artwork for this one, each frame looks like it just ripped off of a museum piece. It's so good visually speaking in terms of the color palette, in terms of the way that the art is directed.
Mm.
It's like, I can get lost in the painting like aspect of the game itself. So
Yeah.
that's
And
Ha!
why.
I can get lost in that aspect as well.
Ass and pecs.
Joe's seen the cake. He wants the cake. He wants the cake. That's what he wants. But then Dan made the point here
I
about
like the game. I like the game for the pandering reasons. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm. All
if you
right,
look at
Dad says, "Let him have it, Sir Joel." Yeah, this is it for you guys,
whole
SBI.
sword and-
Okay.
if you look at this sword and sorcery thing, so Dan made a point. Axe Battler on the Mega
Mhm.
Drive for
Oh
Golden
yes.
Axe. Yeah, he was walking around in speedos for the ladies.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
really-
absolutely.
Yeah.
And also you
Speaking
have
of masculine men.
You
yeah,
guys don't have a problem with
and it's
men
not like
showing
the
off
first time
their,
women have been sexualized like this in video games. This is an ongoing thing, not just
Mhm.
beat 'em up in every genre.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Final Fantasy VII with Tifa and Ares and how they're depicted. I'm looking at Lara Croft, that she's a sex symbol in video games.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and sex does sell. But I mean, these games do have age ratings. And we
Mhm.
have a game council that was because people made a fuss in the 90s. Let's not forget. We
This
have an age
is
rating council for people, so it makes people get the right content for
Mhm.
their age group. So people shouldn't complain too much. But anyway,
this is my opinion. Uh for those of you who are offended, stop being offended for other people. If you're offended for yourself, then be offended for yourself. But if you project your offense on somebody else, like me as a gamer, I appreciate this. But if you think that I'm going to be offended by something like this because you project your offense onto me, then please keep your offense to yourself. Go shut up. Stop playing the game. Leave. Me as a player, I am willing to pay for this kind of stuff. I'm willing to consume it. I'm willing to enjoy it because of the fact that I, as a gamer, enjoy the beauty of how things are and the effort that people put in. If you take offense on it, fine. Stop spending money in it, stop spending time on it, leave us alone. But as a gamer, please stop projecting your offense onto me. That's my opinion.
Just to piggyback on what Sir Joel is saying here,
Mm,
just because some of
mhm,
us gamers tend to be really creepy doesn't
mhm.
necessarily mean we're
Yes.
going around out there committing
Mm.
sex crimes.
Agreed.
No, we don't.
Yes. Mhm.
It's pretty much the same argument as games causing real life, violence.
Exactly. Yes.
That idea is moot.
Mhm,
Okay, we can enjoy all of the glory of the human
mhm.
body, the human
Yeah.
anatomy on video
Mhm,
games because it's fiction. All right,
mhm.
and
Absolutely.
with enough work and discipline, you can look like these too.
Agree.
All right,
Completely agree.
if
no,
you
you
think it's
can't.
impossible to, if you
No, you
think it's no, I mean,
no one
if,
can
if you
wait.
No,
think
no, no,
it's
no.
impossible
Dad,
to develop
Dad,
all those curves,
If you want
no,
to go
Dad,
to Turkey, you go to Turkey and
Dad,
get some operations done, then that's
Dad
fine.
just
Turkey.
Dad just posted a comment that is absolutely priceless. Here you
And it's
go.
you let them tell.
it's only a sex crime if you let it live
Friend.
to tell.
There you go.
If you got caught, okay. Basically, what
But
Sir Dan is saying,
mm,
it's only a crime if you get caught.
in general, basically, what we're talking about is it's the old quote. If video games caused violence, or if video games affected us in real life as much as people thought that they did, then my having played Pac-Man would have made me a pill munching, person running after ghosts every single day. I'm not. I enjoy whatever I play as fantasy, as an
Mm,
escape from reality, as something that I can enjoy by myself or in the company of others, like-minded other people. And if you are going to be offended on my behalf, then I'm sorry, but you are overstepping your boundaries. I am setting a firm
Yes,
boundary here. This is who I am. This is what I enjoy.
yes.
Screw what you
Do
think.
I imagine my wife's ass being like that?
Mm, I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
sometimes, maybe.
Leave
It
your poor
helps,
wives
sure.
out of this. Leave your poor
Mhm.
wives out of this. All right.
Mm.
Leave them
So there,
alone.
that's my message. That's my first game of the
Mm,
of pick. That's my first pick, Dragon's Crown. And if you want to play it, the best quality version that you can find, Dragon's Crown Pro for PlayStation 4 because it got remastered, better
mm,
graphics, orchestral music. We're talking like a treat for the ears kind of music,
mm,
orchestral sound. Dragon's Crown Pro. So that
mm.
is my
Treat for
first choice.
the eyes as well.
Yes, treat for the eyes, treat for the ears, treat as a game as gameplay. Excellent, excellent game. Beat 'em up
Treat
overall.
down there, yes.
Oh, well, there's that too. If you want to go there, that's your choice. I'm not gonna judge. It's your game.
We're
It's
not
your
gonna
life.
judge.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. All right, my
Oh,
second game of
us
choice.
here in Panas Gamers, we don't judge.
We don't
Servirachi do, but
judge.
we don't.
I
Yeah, we
judge
don't.
you.
Servirachi does. But
And I judge all of you.
We
That's
don't judge
perfect.
unless you judge us first. Then it's fair game. That's
That's fair.
that's my yeah. That's my opinion. Now, the second game, I haven't gotten very far into it, but so far I've played it and I'm enjoying it. It's a game called Mother Russia Bleeds. It's a side-scrolling game. Uh, it's a beat 'em up style gameplay, often compared to Streets of Rage and Double Dragon. Players are set to fight through side-scrolling, stage-by-stage levels using guns, melee weapons, or their bare fists to take out enemies. When killed, some enemies start convulsing and they can fill their syringes with a drug from these enemies' corpses, which can then be injected to refill health or go into berserk mode. It's set in the 80s in the Soviet Union. It's a really different kind of setting for those of you who are no mostly familiar with Western and Japanese beat 'em ups.
Mm.
This is set in the 1980s in Russia, and you are a Romani character. The art style is very, very different. It's very grungy, very dingy, very, very like Streets of Rage had the style of very neon streets. This style has very
very dark,
yeah, dark
Rugged.
and gritty,
dark
and
and gray. Yeah.
yeah, dark and gritty. We're talking real dark and gritty art
Uh,
style here. Even going into the sewers, beating up people. The idea here, and the strangest thing about this game that I've found out, not strangest, it's more like one of the more attractive things about it is it really makes an effort to tell a story. The fact that you, as a street fighter, have been captured as a rebel by semi-government forces. I think they're clandestine forces, and you're experimented on with a drug that enhances your strength, your speed, your stamina, and everything. Everything starts moving slower according to you based on the drug that you inject. No, we don't endorse drug use, but it happens here in this game. It's a mechanic where you
Which
find
something
out.
Mother Russia would actually do. Actually,
That's true. That is very true. In the 1980s, you never know what happened back then. We don't know we to this day we don't know what crazy stuff happened back then. We're not
Mm.
very familiar with 1980s Russia culture, but yes, it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up that strives to tell a very good story in terms of a man who got captured by clandestine forces and has been subjected to drug experiments, and his efforts to try to beat his way out of the facility that he's been captured in and take revenge on the people who experimented on him. Multiple endings. There's a couple of endings. There's a bad ending and there's a good ending. And of
Mm.
course, the mechanics are a little bit different from what you're used to, but it is a very good beat 'em up side scroller. And I'm going through it right now upon Dan's recommendation. It is a fun little game. It's retro style in terms of artwork, graphics, pixelized, and everything. But the movements are fluid and smooth. Hit detection, hit boxes are accurate, and it's different for the sake of being different in terms of feel. So if you're used to the fantasy genre, if you're used to the urban genre, this is very much outside of your comfort zone, but it's worth it if you want to invest a little bit of time in it. Mother Russia Bleeds, an indie game, and I'd say very much worth a shot. There you go. hmm
Very good.
hmm
It's very gory, mate. Very dirty and gory.
Very, yes.
Is that a
It's
zombie that you're beating up?
Yes, those are there. Those, I think those are the final stages of what happens when you
Mm.
overdose on the drug too much. When you become too reliant on it. They've
oh, you
experimented on
even
these
beat up
people.
pigs.
Yes, because I think pigs are biologically speaking some of the closest in terms of reaction to humans.
Yes,
Like
they are. They have
mhm,
tissue similar. They can
yes,
even
they're
you can transport. You can basically transplant a pig heart into a human. That's
yes.
what you
So
mm.
there. So the experiments, the pigs are part of the experiment, and you can extract the drug from them as well once you beat them up. So
can.
there you go. hmm
In Soviet Russia, we
Mm.
drink vodka
Disgusting.
every day.
Yes, in
Disgusting.
Soviet Russia, you eat pigs. In Soviet Russia, the pigs eat you. So that. So there.
Mm.
Yes,
In
it's a very short
Soviet
game
Russia,
actually.
eat
Mm,
pig, it's you.
According to how long to beat,
So
Mother Russia
the game
Bleeds.
was
If
it
you're a
2 hour game?
completionist, It can be completed in about 8 hours if you're a completionist, according to how long to beat. So it can be done over a weekend if you were interested. So that's my second game. Back to you, Viraj.
All right, that's good. All right, so I think we pretty much rounded up modern beat 'em ups and also some of
Mhm.
the beat 'em ups in the 32-bit era that or the fifth generation, I say fifth
Oh,
and
but we
sixth.
haven't asked Joel what his choices are yet.
We're going to go
Mhm.
to Sir Joe. I'm
Mm.
just bracing myself because I know what
Oh
he's
yeah,
going to.
yeah. Mm.
So we've pretty much done it. Now we've got the what I call the controversial member of this panel. He always posts something. I
Oh,
mean, take
The
it with a pat
deviant.
of people what he's going to come out with. But over to you, Sir Joe. Go on. Let's see what you got. I'll try not to retch.
I know. I'll try to be wholesome with my selection
Oh, okay.
Okay.
as much as possible. I will.
Try being the
Uh,
operative word. Okay.
all right. Don't take it with a grain of salt. Okay.
Mm.
So with my selection here, so I spent a whole week trying to find some beat 'em up game. Well, some post 1995 beat 'em up games that I would enjoy, and I try. There are a couple in on the PlayStation Vita, but and then I saw two more games for the PlayStation One, and I played those. And then for some reason I happen to enjoy the PlayStation One games compared to the PlayStation Vita that I found. So let's get on with it. The first game that I will gonna talk about would be a game called Panzer Bandit for the PlayStation One. So Panzer Bandit for the PlayStation One. I'm gonna share my screen here. All right. So this game was released back in 1998, I believe, Japan only. Um, if you're going to look at the gameplay, it kind of looks more like a Game Boy Advance game. Going by the going by what the footage I'm showing you here. Hit detection wise, it's all good. Even I'd say it's rather easy to hit enemies given enough distance. You are relegated to punches and kicks and jumps, the usual. However, this is the time when Streets of Rage and Final Fight already set the bar. So it doesn't. So with the beat 'em up games, it doesn't have to be simple hack and slashing punches and kicks. You need to have some variety as well. So in this game, you also have some special moves. Granted, um, with this game, when I first played it, it didn't really give you like a tutorial on how to move or how to pull off those special moves. What I'm guessing here, it would have been included in the manual if you bought the game because it is in Japanese. So I have to look. So without even looking at game facts, I tried a few combinations myself. You know, the usual the Hadouken move, the Shoryuken move, up, down, left, right, all those stuff. And every once in a while, I'll pull off a special move, and I like that. Um, the enemies here, even in easy mode, they can still kick your ass if you're not paying close attention, and I like that. And uh, about the beat 'em up games, and I'm using Street of Rage again here in Final Fight. It's easier for you to advance on each stage because a lot of times the enemies are just stand there and just let them and they just let you punch them on the face. They don't really. Every once in a while, they will punch you, sure, but unless, of course, you increase the difficulty, they don't really fight back that much. Here, even on easy, they can still kick your ass. They really tend to overcrowd you. Um, in terms of level design, it's not like Street of Rage or Final Fight where there are multiple long hallways that you tend to walk. Here, it's just one screen, maybe like two screens of a stage level. However, enemies will keep coming at you, one horde after another, and that's where the beat 'em up aspect comes in. Um, it's still in Japanese, so I'm not sure what exactly is the point of this game unless I read the GameFAQs translation of it. But as far as I can tell, you will start with four playable characters first, and then as you progress through the game, you will eventually recruit one new party member at a time. Um, if you're using the multi tap here, you can play four characters max. So if you can see there, I'm showing you the footage. It's there's only two players here, but there's a gap between those. You can play as four
Mm.
characters match
Oh, nice.
tops,
Thank you.
and it can be very it also it's a 2D 2.5D kind of side scrolling beat 'em up game. Um, if you press the L1 button, it will jump to the to the back side of the stage. So you can use that as a tactical strategy, like a tactical retreat if you're being way too overwhelmed by the enemies, just to escape a little bit and then go back. So you can use that function just to get behind them, because there a lot of times the main strategy of the enemies here will be doing a pincer attack, like they're gonna corner you from front and back. But that being said, you just like Final Fight and Street of Rage here, there's a button combination here where you can do like a back attack or something, like like a back fist or a back slap or a somersault kick that will hit the enemy from the front and back at the same time. So yeah, this is it. Very anime-ish as well. There are some anime cut scenes here, but still, I was looking for for an English translation here from CD Romance. Unfortunately, there was a plan to do it, but but it's unfinished. So I just played the Japanese ROM of it. The favorite character here is Ko, the one with the blue hair. He has the most range. He has the most, not necessarily the most range, but he is the most versatile of everyone. In terms, he has a diving attack. He has a projectile attack, melee attack. Um, he's super. I'm not gonna say a super skill, but his desperation move covers a lot more ground as well. So most people who tend to play it uses Ko as their first avatar, and so yeah, I kind of like this one. Moving on, another one would be a game called uh, Gear Fighter Dendo. So Gear Fighter Dendo for the PS1, this game came out of like 2001, 2002. And this was the time when there are a lot of super robot animes were coming out back in the 90s, Sir Joel. So
Yes.
Power
I'm
Rangers.
guessing this might be in your alley.
Hmm.
Reminds me of Power Rangers and
Uh,
beyond.
Oh, yeah. The Power Rangers craze.
with
Yeah.
super so Gear Robot then though he was this the robot actually was also featured in the Super Robot Wars R
Oh,
on the
okay.
PS2.
Hmm, okay.
Just to give homage to it. There was an anime of this that ran for 38 episodes. So the anime came out of 1996, and then it
Mm,
took them like 4 or 5 years just to came out with a video game based
mm,
on the anime. And I didn't know that, so I just played the game.
okay.
So playing the game, I'm like, what the hell is going on? What the hell was going on? So what I with barely minimum Japanese language that I know.
Mhm,
I'm listening to I'm listening to the dialogue. So
mhm.
for what I can tell, without watching the anime, the earth is in peril. Gaia, the spirit of earth, can no longer. Oh no, that's a different
Captain
show.
Planet.
Uh, that's Captain Planet. Okay, so the Earth is in peril. There are aliens invading. Um, al- um, Aliens in this case, machine-like creatures invading Earth, particularly Japan, as always. And there are two kids here. Uh, the blue, uh, the blue, the blue shirt kid is named Hokuto, and the other boy is named Ginga. So they happen to find each other, and they were escaping from the horde of alien attackers. They go inside a dome building, and for some reason, the robot Dendo suddenly appeared, took them inside the cockpit, and the kids are like, "Oh, what the hell are we doing here?"
Mm.
And then this girl here suddenly uh, trying to tell them to relax and say that, okay, you're inside the cockpit of Dendo, the giant robot. It's up to you now to pilot this robot, kids, mind you. So you two kids will be responsible now, using this robot to fight against the alien invaders.
How
How
very
very
dual
responsible.
how very dual
How ve-
parallel troubled adventure. Okay.
how very how very realistic, just like any
Mhm.
other super robot anime out there,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Letting kids do what the adults should be doing. Sure.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right, let's talk about the gameplay. So as you can see, it kind of looks like it's 2.5D in a way.
Mhm.
Background is watercolored shells, uh cell shaded.
Cell shaded. Yeah.
However,
Okay.
the sprites kind of look 3D ish, in a way. The theme, not really the theme music, but the special sound effects that they used here, Sir Joel. If you
Mhm.
play, for you guys who played the Gundam Battle Assault game, this is a Ban Presto produced game. So the sound effects that they use on Gundam, they used it here.
So you'll be able to
So
identify,
yeah,
the sound effects as they happen. Okay. Mm.
yeah. So yeah, if it's so very similar. It's so like, and it took me a while to realize, oh, it's a Ban Presto game. So yeah, so
Mm.
they got lazy. They got lazy and they just used the same sound effects here.
Mhm.
Gameplay wise, so you will be playing as Dendo the robot. Um, and what you can see there, so there's a life bar up there, and Dendo uses AA batteries.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
robot itself is powered by big ass batteries, and every time you beat up like a robot creature, you will be getting those batteries, so you can fuel them to pull off your special moves.
Hmm.
Basic attack, there's a punch, there's a kick, and there's a jump. Special attacks here. So on the first stage, while not progressing or not getting too far ahead, I tried a few button combinations as well.
Mhm.
The usual Street Fighter moves, and yeah. And just like on Gundam Battle Assault, because I knew the similarities to Gundam Battle Assault, I tried using the button combinations from Gundam Battle Assault.
Did
And
they work?
god damn it, Ban Presto, you lazy son of a bitch. even
It
even the
works.
moveset here even the moveset here, it works. So it's
Mhm.
it's similar 100% to Gundam Battle Assault. So it's the button combinations here, if you play the Gundam Battle Assault games, it's very simple. You
Mhm.
down forward this, down up this, back forward this, down up that, forward this, back that. It, um Chances are you'll be able to pull off some crazy moves, provided that you have enough batteries with you. All right. Um,
Mm.
the way I played this, it's because there are time. The first stage, it's quite easy, and while you go to the as you progress to the other stages, the more enemies tend to overwhelm you. W- Um, the way I play this, I try to move close to them, and then I use a throw. And then I use a throw. So I throw them. So I throw them like that. So I throw them, and then it hits any enemy that's on the way. So for example, I'm showing you the footage right now. Those flying robots, those flying bird robots, I can toss them, attack the enemy. So I can damage the enemy by just throwing those birds, those mechanized birds. And surprisingly enough, you can also lift up that big ass mecha creature as well. And you're not gonna lose any health points. You're not gonna lose any battery points if you do that. Dendo will struggle for a bit trying to lift it up, but it's doable. Um,
Hmm.
if you, uh, the question now would be: is it necessary to watch the anime just to understand the basic premise of the game? In reality, if I'm going to be honest, I would say just watch the first two episodes of the anime, so at least you know so you know what the basic of the story is. So, and I did that. And then I realized that the game itself has skipped a lot of stuff. Like, they didn't really explain much to you why the enemies are attacking. Why are they in the first place? Granted, they're in Japanese. However, if you watch the first two episodes of the anime, it kind of fleshes this out. The motivation of the invaders, and the motivation of the kids. Here, they just happen to meet each other. That's it. But in the anime, there's a lot more stuff. There's a lot more interaction between them before they ended up inside the robot. And what I'm guessing what happened here was maybe budgetary concerns. They really didn't have the time to include all of those special key points of the story, or include any like anime clips inside the game. So at least that would at least help you with the storytelling uh, with the game. And so with the game, there are so you got Dendo here. Dendo, the name of the robot. So Dendo apparently is one of the missing machines from the Empire, and they are looking for him. It just so happens he's on Earth. Why he's on Earth, no one knows unless you watch the anime. He's just there, and they're like, sir, we've located Dendo. Okay, does he have the data weapons? No, he doesn't have the data weapons. What are the data weapons? So one of the goals here in this game would be collecting the data weapons, and you will acquire them as you progress through each stage. As far as I can tell, based on the anime, based on the third episode of the anime, there are six data weapons here that you should collect. The data weapons will serve as Dendo's main weapons. You got unicorn drill, viper whip, phoenix flare, um, bull horn, boar cannon, and leon circle. So there are six. So like I mentioned, you'll get the chance to get them as you progress through the stage. Oh, um, there are also special boss fights here where you will fight them one on one like this. I'm gonna show you the video here. So like a versus tournament fighter like this. And at first, your move list will be limited unless you collect all of the data weapons. You can do a lot more. You can do a lot more moves. But on the first stage, there's like two or three special moves that you can perform, but you can still wipe the floor out of the enemy just by spamming the same three special moves over and over.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play the story mode, which is going which is kind of loosely based from the anime's plot point, or you can play as the versus mode, which is this one. The versus mode,
Mm.
um, if you're going to play the versus mode right off the bat, it's only like two or three characters who are unlocked there that are playable. So unless you progress through the game, that's the time when more robots will be unlocked. So I'd say either use a Game Shark code uh,
Mm.
just to uh, just to cheat your way to unlock all of the characters, so you can play versus mode like this, or just play the story mode. And if you know a decent amount of Japanese, yeah, you can probably enjoy the storyline as well.
Mm.
Mm. So that's it. This is a Gear Fighter Dendo.
Well, I have to say,
It kind of
Joe,
reminds me of Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann. Yes, there you go. I was gonna say that. I have to say, Joe, your choices for today are very tame. I mean,
Mm.
no, not tame. I guess what the right word for it is.
Up,
They're very
hang on. All
mhm.
right.
Oh no.
Sir Joel spoke too soon. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm showing you. I'm showing you a
Oh
blonde
no.
girl
Okay.
here. This close. Oh, we were this close. All right.
Okay.
I-
Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. So yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. No.
this girl here has no bit. So I'm showing you a blonde girl with the big
Mm,
boobs,
yes.
and suspiciously looks like Char as Noble from Mobile Suit Gundam.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm like, why is she wearing a mask? Why is she wearing a mask just like that? Why does
Mm-hmm.
she looks like Char in drag? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and going by with the rest, by watching the rest of the anime, you'll find out there's no reason for her to hide her face anyway. I mean,
Mm.
she doesn't have any facial scars, or she doesn't have any blemishes. I think it's just for fashion choice, I'm guessing.
Ah,
But
okay.
there's a reason why she's hiding her identity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it relates to one of the boys. Oh, speaking
Ah.
of the boys, when I the first thing that I thought of when I saw these boys here
Mm-hmm.
piloting the robot, not Boku no Pico, that's another one.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Okay.
it's like um, it's like this is the idea before Pacific Rim. It
Yeah.
turns out Dendo needs two
Mm.
pilots to activate him.
I
The
was gonna say
robot
that.
needs two.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
two
gonna say
pilot.
that.
It needs two
I'm
pilots.
imagining that Pacific Rim actually took a little bit of inspiration from this. That you need like
Mm.
two pilots. It's too overwhelming for one pilot to
One person,
to.
right?
Mhm, mhm,
Remember, Sir Joel, back in the 80s and 90s, like
mhm.
for example, like Voltus 5 or
Yes.
or
Mhm,
Voltron.
yes.
There are five pilots, but
Mhm,
the leader technically controls the whole robot, right?
yes. Mhm,
So even though you have multiple pilots there just to form a giant robot,
yeah.
it's the leader usually calls the shots.
Yes.
Here, Dendo himself is not a combiner. He's just there. He doesn't transform
Mhm.
into anything.
He's a
He
walking
doesn't.
tank, like Mazinger Z.
He's just
Mhm,
yeah. He's just a Mazinger Z. So it's just
mhm.
one big robot.
Yes.
Right from the get. The data weapons will. The data weapons will just install on Dendo, but that's it.
Mm,
Otherwise, he can fight without them, really. And
mhm,
Ginga, the black haired kid, he
mhm.
knows martial arts.
Okay.
So in terms of fighting capability, he's the guy. He's the one controlling the
Mhm.
way Dendo fights.
Okay.
Everything else, like the analytical stuff, it's Hokuto, the one with the blue shirt.
Okay.
So usually, Hokuto will suggest a move, and then Ginga will control how Dendo moves, how
Hmm.
he fights,
I imagine the anime
and
is set up so that it highlights cooperation between different
it's
people.
cooperation. And
Hmm.
um, the game and the anime explained how Dendo moves. It's
Hmm.
like if they move their arm at the same time, then those arm will move. So
Oh,
it
okay.
needs the both of them to move,
Hmm. Yes, very Pacific
basically.
Rim. Very Pacific
Very
Rim. Yeah.
Pacific Rim.
Okay. Well,
Before Pacific Rim was a thing.
yeah.
And the
I mean,
cockpit, it's just them hold it's not like those like they have buttons or anything.
mhm,
It's like connected to it's connected to their arms and legs. So
mhm.
pretty much
Motion
Pacific Rim
controls.
still.
Yeah, motion controls,
Motion
basically.
control, very.
Ah, I
Mm.
see. Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, Joe's choices, wouldn't you say, Viraj, are not so much tame as they are surprisingly obscure, but very good in terms of
I mean,
what.
they're obscure because they only bloody came out in Japan, isn't it?
Oh
Who's going to tell?
yeah,
I mean,
but
seriously, like, give me some English translation. I might
mm.
actually consider it. I mean, you don't need. Yeah.
No, that's the thing.
English.
Unless you watch the anime, at
Mhm,
least in a way, the anime itself has some. You can watch it on YouTube. The
mhm.
38 episodes are there. All of them
Oh,
are English subbed.
subtitled. Oh,
So
that's good.
if you
Okay.
watch the anime and then you're going to play this, at least
Mhm,
you know what's going on.
mhm,
The characters presented in the anime, not all of them are here in this game,
mhm.
but the important ones anyway, the ones that matter.
So you can kind of ballpark the plot of the game from the anime.
If
Okay,
you watch
got
the
it.
anime, I mean,
Understood. Understood.
but do you really need to watch the anime? If you're just into just mindless
Hmm.
robots fighting other robots,
Hmm.
then you don't have to watch the anime. Just go straight on it.
Okay. All right. Good choices. Great choices, Joe. All
And
right.
then, all right. So, um, the last game I want to talk about, um, will be for the some a little bit something modern. It's
Mm.
for the Vita.
Oh yes,
It's
Vita.
called Phantom Breaker. Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds.
Okay. Now this one, Viraj, looks like it has English translation, so it's something that you might be interested in.
Oh, is
It's in English. Yes.
so it's released in the West, yeah.
So
Mhm. It looks like it is.
so
Yeah.
this is in English. I, wa- I was going to choose Ikitosen, but that's another
Ikatosen,
Japanese
yes.
game.
Yes, yes.
Now that is not safe for work.
Now.
But because it's another Japanese game, I say okay, I'll choose this one. It's the next best thing out of
Was
Ikitosen.
this released on what
You're
PSP?
playing girls, all
Vita.
right?
PS Vita.
This is for the Vita, and
Mhm.
you're playing girls here, all right? They're very
Mhm.
customizable, chibi form, very customizable, really.
It does actually
So
look a little bit like River City Girls, Viraj. Maybe it might be up your alley.
Nah.
The
so it's
system.
right there.
Mm.
When you start the game, you'll be able to choose which character you like. You got Mikoto, you got Waka, Itsuki, Yuzuha, and if you choose one of the characters, you are free to change their color palette, so you can still customize them. Just the color, not you can't really change anything else aside from the color palette, really. And depending on the girl, there are some girls here who have a long range weapon. Some fights with knives. Some fight just with their fist. So, and I'm a purist. If we are going to say beat 'em up, I'd say mainly fisticuffs. But there are some girls here who uses their fist, so I included them anyway. Still, so it's in the Vita, and they're in English. Basically, the enemies here, you are fighting in Tokyo, and if everyone turned out to be zombie machines, if that makes sense,
I mean, there's some ugly looking bad woman. I mean, there's some ugly woman, man. Her head is bigger than her body, man.
right?
Ugh.
Um,
So
if you're going to start, with this
So you fight
game,
on a train.
um, they're fighting in the streets of Akihabara at first, and
Mm.
the stages here are not that long actually. Just
Mm.
like Panzer, just like in Panzer Bandit, it's just like 1 or 2 frames of the stage.
Mm.
It kind of feels long because there's a lot of enemies keep attacking you all the time. So it only feels that the stage is too long because you're constantly beating up enemies all the time.
I like that.
So
It's a
playing this
4DS.
game,
It
um,
says 4DS. It's a tribute to the Nintendo 3DS in the back, and it's a PSP game. Can you see that shot that says
it's
4DS?
4DS.
Yeah.
It's 4DS.
Yes, it.
4DS. Hey, it's a Vita game, so hey.
Mm. If
So
you fight
playing
on
this
two planes,
game,
I noticed you go back and forth. You've got two planes. Is there a background that you jump into and
it
a
does.
front?
It does. So back. So the bottom, the top and bottom, yes.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
if you press the L1 button,
Yeah.
you'll be able to jump to the other side and press it again just to go back.
Hmm.
Same principle as Panzer Bandit. They're trying to overtake you
Hmm.
from both sides. It's easy to get really lost in this game. During the first few stages, so there in one stage there are 4 floor areas that you should finish, and each floor area is harder than the last. And if you can see over there, there's a level number right on the right corner of your name there. So you will also gain experience points here. Unfortunately, and this is the bad thing about this game, you will only level up. You will only accumulate all of those. You will only rack all of those experience points from beating all of these enemies if you die.
I like the little
So it's
Easter egg
not
in the
like
back.
you're.
You see the Sega
Yeah.
Saturn logo
So
there
it's
with Tyson. I like that. The little
yes, it is
little tributes to games of
a
past.
little bit in the back, the Sega building. Yes.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the one thing that I don't like about this game is that you don't necessarily gain your experience points as you progress for each stage. You need to die first before you can level up. So that means you will there's a good chance that you might reach the area boss and you're
Hmm.
still at level 0. And by the time when you reach the boss, because you're still level 0, technically speaking, all of your stats are still on base level.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're still relatively weak. So unless you intentionally lose, and this is one of the strategies that some players are doing,
Hmm.
they will lose on the area before the boss, so that when they fight the boss, uh, they'll be able to level up at least 5 or 6 levels. They'll get stronger before they fight the boss. Oh, uh, leveling up aside, you will be awarded skill points as well. And leveling up means shit here because why? You will be given enough skill points and you will be the one responsible where to put that, either on your strength, your defense, your speed. So what would be so basically, if you get 8 points, you will get 15 skill points, as I mean in this case stat points. So it's up to you now where to put those 15 points. So basically, uh so depending on how much you leveled up, will be the results of the stat points that the game will give you.
Hmm.
The more enemies you fight, the better chance of you leveling up. The more chances the game will give you more stat points. Oh, did that just and so let's just say you have your stat points here on your right. You
Hmm.
also have your skill, your move list on the left, and you need those skill points to unlock certain moves as well, like double jump, triple jump, instant heal. So
So
basically, you are go. So you, it so basically you only have 15 points at first.
Hmm.
mhm.
So that means it's up to you now where to put them. Are you going to invest them on your stats, or are you going to invest them on the skills?
So it's still very much RPG stat based
It's
allocation.
very
Okay,
RPG-ish,
I
yeah.
get it. Okay. All
And
right.
and in some of the forums that I went to in regarding with this game, because I'm trying to find out what would be the best way. How see here, guys.
Okay.
That's it. That's it right there. So you got your skill set, right? So so when she died, she reached well she died, and she cleared the stage anyway. Level 7, yes. So out of all of the fighting that she did, she only reached level 7, and the game
Mm.
only awarded her 35 points. So
All
what
right.
I'm wait so what I'm so what I'm
Dan
guessing
here
here.
has Dan here has input on this whole thing.
Mm,
Joe, you can have a quick look at it, and I kind of
yeah.
actually agree with him on this one. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm not a fan of RPG stat mechanics and beat 'em ups, to be honest. These games thrive on their simplicity and intensity, and fanning about with stats and stat based tactics can drag the game down if not implemented right. He's got a point on that one.
What I'm
Mm,
I think what they're planning, what I think what the creators
aiming for.
were gunning for here is that
Mm.
a little bit diversity on the gameplay,
Well,
perhaps.
yeah, that's true. It does
They're
give.
mixing RPG
Mhm.
to a beat 'em up game,
Yes.
which
Yeah,
I
you can
get that what
optimize.
Sir Dan is speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Um.
optimize your build, I guess. But sometimes if you screw up your build, you're basically chaining yourself to a
Oh, that's
tank.
fine, Sir
And yeah.
Joel. Actually, funny
Uh-huh.
you say that. If you don't
Mhm.
like your build, you are free to cancel. So let's
Oh,
just
okay.
say you put so
Hmm.
the game so the for what I can understand, if you
Hmm.
one level up means 5 skill points.
Okay.
So on the screen it has she's level 7, then that
Hmm.
means times 5
35. Yeah.
is 35.
Yes.
So one skill point on attack, one skill if I'm gonna do this, one skill
Hmm.
point for attack, one skill point for defense, one skill point for speed. If you don't like that, if you want to invest on the move list next, you can cancel the ones you put on your stats and give the skill points to your move list. So there's that. So if so it's up to you now. It's easy to customize if you want to be a tank, if you want stealth build, or if you want or an offensive build, or screw all of that and just focus more on your move list, so
Well, I
you
have
can
to
pull
admit
off more moves.
that does sound like it's a little bit different. Yeah, I have to admit on that one.
So that's that.
Hmm.
um and yeah, in terms of so that's basically is the main hook of the gameplay.
Hmm.
um Anime-ish, obviously, very pixel art as well. There are some enemies here that can be very annoying. Like for example, there are some people who keeps throwing stuff at you, and because you can only jump so high at first, you really need to invest on that high jump. You need to invest on that high jump so you can pull off your diving attack, which
How
means you
long
also
does
need
it take?
some skill points to invest on the diving attack.
How long
Uh,
does this game last? I mean, what's the length of the game from start to finish?
well, let's find out. Let's check out how long to beat. What's the name of the
uh,
game again, Joe?
Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds. So according to some of the gameplays here, I'd say
According to this, if you
let's
just
see,
went for the main story, it's about 3 hours. But if you're a completionist, about 14.
29.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It's not so bad.
what does
Almost 20 hours at best if you don't do any grinding.
I mean, this
Mhm.
is it. I mean, Sedan makes a valid point. Like, this is fucking long, man. Okay, it's fun. It's a great game, but like, who's got time for this shit, man? Like, the whole point is like, just get from A to B and have fun doing it. I mean, I suppose there's a hypocrisy in what I'm saying. Is I mentioned a game called River City Girls, which does have RPG elements. You know, you collect money, you get moves, your character does level up, they become stronger as the game goes on, and it is a quest. But that game doesn't. It's not trying to be something that it's not. You know, it's an open world beat 'em up. It's not like an arcade style. So there's that there. This thing, however, it's sort of masked itself as being the sort of side-scrolling arcade style. You've got two planes you fight on, but there are a lot of leveling up aspects to it. And, I don't know, it's got a niche audience that will like that, and that's the action RPG gamer. I mean, is this really a beat 'em up? We could just call this an action RPG and be done with it. I mean, it's got a lot of facets to that aspect of the gameplay. But then again, it's got Japanese developers, so why am I not surprised? Not saying I'm criticizing the game. I mean, it's going to have these extra features in there. There's not
one more thing about
this game didn't have a power release.
one more
America,
power release. I believe so. Hmm. Oh, so one more thing about this game. So at first, when I stopped playing the game and I was looking for the load screen, I can't find it, and I'm like, oh shit, do I need to do I need to start all over again? It turns out on the character screen, just like Scott Pilgrim or Casual Crashers, you you need to select the girl that you played before, because apparently this game has an autosave. That's why. So if you stop playing the game halfway using that girl, you need to choose that girl again to continue where you left off. Took me a while to realize that.
Yeah.
If you happen to choose another girl, then that's the time when you really need to play right from the very beginning, of course. So you need to choose the original girl you need to choose the first girl that you played with, just so that you can progress to the game.
I have to admit,
There you go.
I'm
And yeah, so as you can see there's a lot of coins, a lot of gems, a lot of orbs lying around there. Be sure to be fast because they're only there for 5 seconds. If you're too slow to get them all, they just disappear. And
Yeah.
and the bodies of the enemies can get in the way. It's not like you can just go through them. So you need to wait for them to disappear so you can get all of those coins.
I'm surprised you picked this game. This is something I expect from Sir Joel, and I expect the Dragon's Crown game to be one that you'd pick, Sir Joel. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it kind of it's kind of a switch 'em up kind of day today in Timeless Gamer Show.
Very interesting.
Like I mentioned, I was going to choose Ikitosen, but
That's true. Yeah, he did say
at
that.
least,
Yeah.
at least here, it's more wholesome.
Yes.
It's still girls with weapons without too much boobs and ass.
Well, it's chibi features, so it's not really like they have that in there for
Right.
chibi characters, that style. No, it's all good stuff, and I'm glad you found a game that you enjoyed. I'm glad this is different. It's not like I've seen not a lot of games like this, to be honest, that employ.
Oh yeah, I did mention to Sir Joel, because if I play Ikitosen, it's really difficult to play the PSP with only one hand. That's all I can say.
There you go. That's it.
I'm still checking if it's April 1 because I think this
Well,
is
because we changed
It's an
because we
April
reversed
this
our
is an
game
April
choices.
4th episode.
Right. Okay, so it's a wonderful game. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Because we've been running for over 33
That's
hours.
it for me. That's it
Yeah.
for me.
I think Seth Joe's game is much more of I think this is much more of an RPG game than Dungeons and Dragons Shadow over Mistara.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Because when you play Shadows over Mistara, you do level up, but you can only see the numeric values for the strength, intelligence, and agility. Right? So there's no choosing which power up or which skill you want to upgrade. It's just the stats, and it's hidden somewhere in the game. So you don't really have any choices, or you can't
That's
do
true. That's
anything
true.
else about it.
99 Vitas. I think I
Okay.
have this in my library somewhere.
So just a honorable mention. So 99 Vitas. So it came out for the Vita, PS3 and Xbox, I believe. I think I believe it's been developed from South America,
Mm.
and coming from South America, of course, there are all Sega fans. The resemblance to Streets of Rage. Oh my God! From the music, from the moves,
Yeah,
uh,
because
from the graphical design, very reminiscent of Streets of Rage, especially 2 and 3.
Mm.
If
Well,
you're going to play this, without going too much into it, I can feel the love from the South American developers that they really love Street of Rage 2, Street
You're
of
about to,
Rage title.
you're about to say Viraj.
That yeah.
there's a huge following in South America when it comes to the music because of FM synthesis. You know, they love that sort of style of music. They love the Sega game. Sega is so that they have such a love for it, and they actually carry the nostalgia with them. You know, and they I mean, the Master System is like the most popular selling system in South America. You know, that's a funny thing. So of course, and the Mega Drive following that. So of course they're gonna be a following with that, and it looks like a really fun game for what it is. But again, you know, a little bit primitive for what it is. But hey, listen, if you love that style of game, it's there for you. But you know, yeah.
Oh,
You could,
I'm sorry. It also has an RPG element into it. After a battle, you'll have to invest on some stats as well.
Well, like Dan says, it's not really a game breaker. It's just that as long as it doesn't slow down the progression of the game, as long as it doesn't break pace, I guess that's the right word for it. You know,
Oh,
it should be
I'm
fine.
sorry. This is not exactly from South America. It's from Portugal.
yeah, I noticed
Portugal,
that. I'm
yeah,
reading
that's
it.
yeah.
So 99
Portugal.
V is Portuguese for 99 lives. That's what it
Yeah.
means.
Okay.
All right.
It's still
Interesting.
cool. It's still cool. All right, excellent. I think we're basically good with our choices. Excellent choices all around.
Today.
And yeah, and there's a lot of beat 'em ups that I can say that I'm gonna have to give a try to because again, it's not I'm not very good at that genre. But again, as a gamer, I am absolutely willing to give anything a go as long as it's fun. And just you know, it. My final word is just don't project you're being offended on other people. You know, just play what you like. All right, that's it. Leave other
I'm not
people
offended
be.
by your game. I want to play that Dragon's Crown.
Dragon's Crown Pro. Yes, I'd
You know,
recommend the PS4 version.
it actually looks like
Very,
a lot.
very good. Very, very good.
But you know, your game, Sir Joe. I don't know if I'll play those. But, I mean, I don't know if I'll bother with it. It's just too much for me, man. Too much.
All right, all right. We can just wrap it up then.
But there's so
All right.
many. But to wrap it up, there's just so many different kinds of beat 'em ups in the modern era. I mean, we talk about RPG mixing those elements with the beat 'em up genre, and that's something that's evolved in time. And if that is for you, because I think a lot of people would like a much more deeper element in a beat 'em up a video game, it's there. You know, you have that option. If you want that, it's there. It's a choice. You know, play it if that's your thing.
What I what I find interesting about this topic is that I realized how the 16-bit games and the arcade games raised the bar in
Yeah,
regarding with the beat 'em up genre,
yeah. I mean,
because all of the beat 'em up genres that we have now in the modern era
are so much
took a
better.
lot of inspiration from all of those games
Yeah.
actually, and to the point that they're trying to be different, they're trying to set them aside away from those old games, simplicity of their overall gameplay and game design, to a fault that sometimes it kind of messes up with the enjoyment factor. Like for example, they're trying to be different. Okay, let's put by putting some RPG elements into it. It kind of messes up with the dynamic how
Yeah.
people used to play beat 'em up games,
Yeah.
Like Sir Dan mentioned.
It makes the game bigger
Um,
and longer. You get more for your buck, and that's happening with a lot of video games now. And maybe sometimes making a longer game doesn't necessarily make it better. It can be quite strenuous if you're playing Streets of Rage 4. I remember Sad Dan saying it's a 4-hour playthrough if you're playing Streets of Rage 4. That seemed a bit. It seemed like I was like really pushing myself when I was getting tired. But that's an arcade style game. This thing that but I'll talk about in terms of River City Girls and the games you've got, they're more open world sort of exploratory games which have beat 'em up elements in there, and they are designed to be longer. But the whole point in those games is you can now pause it, pick up where you left off, and we're living in that era where you can do that. And if the game isn't overly complex, where you're going to be lost when you next pick it up, there's nothing wrong with it. And beat 'em ups have become longer, and it's not for everyone, to be honest. And but that being said, people want to know that they're getting more for their buck. Because if a game is too short, it's like, what did I pay for? What, 2 hours of this and that's it? So people want to get more for the money. So it's a tough one to balance because different people want different things. And there's no game to be perfect for everyone. There's not one game that's going to cater for everyone. Like Streets of Rage 4, I love
The game, so the gameplay needs to be simple but not overly complicated at the same time.
But then if you make it too simple, it'll be too easy, and you'll beat the game in a shorter period. If you make it a bit more complicated, the game will be longer, and you think you got your money's worth.
I guess what we're looking for is intuitiveness, something that you can intuit right off the bat, but it is not going to be like overly complicated, but not too simple either. Intuitiveness, I guess that's what we're looking for.
I would say in terms of intuitive games, like the ones that I'm unbiased towards, and I can only mention the games that I play. Obviously, River City Girls, those are games that are intuitive. They're quite lengthy for what they are. They're not like the arcade style, and that's fine. They do what they say on the tin and then some. With the new Turtles game that I mentioned, that has a length to it. You can't just sit there and play it in one session. And you've got to differentiate that beat 'em ups from the arcade era are part of our history. And there's so many of them if you want to visit those games. I do think that the beat 'em up genre does need to evolve with the way things are, with modern graphics, modern gameplay mechanics, modern programming, and just all the detail that we didn't have before we can put in now because of memory constraints that were there. We can actually make them so much better. And to be honest, to conclude, I think the conclusion is, are beat 'em ups of today better than what we had back then? From a technical level, yes. Technically, they are. They are. We've got Dan who's saying, I always think I always think of it as in sometimes you need a quickie. It's fine having an all-night session with something you love, but on the flip side, a quick bish bosh bash over the kitchen sink is more intense. So I suppose he's obviously talked about the sexual innuendo element of lovemaking, shall we say? If you want to get over and done with, quick bang bang bang, you're done, yeah. And there are those. That was how things were, but yeah, there are some that you want to sort of, you want to revel in something, you want to immerse yourself in something you really enjoy. So I suppose there are those elements of it, and there's a hierarchy of hotness as well when it comes to these games. Some are much more easier to get to grips to than some other games, and it depends on the person. There's no right or wrong answer in this because there's clearly a beat 'em up now for everyone, because they've done so much, and they're going to continue developing this genre because off of the back of the success of the games I've mentioned, and I'm sure even the ones that you've mentioned that were previously very successful. So there you go. Lots of choices there, people in this video. Lots of choices. No, pick one. And a lot of these newer games are quite cheap to get that I mentioned, and they're really good. So you can't really go wrong. They're actually quite affordable to play these games. So there you go. That's my
all right. Excellent. You can just bring it home, Joe.
All right, that's a show, guys. Wow, over 3 hours, and like Sir Viraj mentioned, there are a lot of choices here in regarding with the beat 'em up games of the modern era, post 1995, and we'll just do some closing remarks and the shameless plugs as well as we go out. Let's start with Sir JDM. Sir JDM, what's your closing remarks regarding the beat 'em up genre, and where can they find you?
Yeah, so beat 'em up games for me as an adult, I think these beat 'em up games were made for your family and friends. When we get older, you spend a little time with your friends or with your cousins or your siblings. So playing these simple beat 'em up games for just an hour or two, a couple of hours, it makes you go back to the times when you had a lot more time playing games. So I think this beat 'em up games makes you reminisce on your childhood and the gaming experiences that you have with your friends and relatives back in the days. So for me, 1, 2, 3, go retro. in Twitch and on YouTube. I don't have any streams regularly, so but I do try to post some of my gameplays on Facebook primarily, and I've been playing a lot of DOS and old Windows games just to pass the time because it's been a tough week for me, and I haven't been in the show for quite some time now. And for those of for those of you who have forgotten, Juan De Marcos of 123 Go Retro JDM for short. And please do catch Timeless Gamer Show every week, and also Quantum Videohan in the Retromancy Incorporated channel. So see you there, guys.
Thank you. Very
All
good.
right, thank you for that, Sir JDM. And how about Sir Joel? Closing remarks and where can they find you?
All right. Well, beat 'em ups. Again, like my compatriots have said, technically speaking, there's so much more to play nowadays. You don't have to be stuck in the classics, although the classics are always going to be great. There's lots to find out, lots to check out, lots to see. Broaden your horizons, enjoy what's there. Lots of really good stuff to get, as well as cheap stuff to get. Not cheap in terms of gameplay, but cheap in terms of the impact to your pocket. I'd say it might not be your cup of tea, but you never know. If you give it a try, you might find that it's something much more palatable than you thought. So again, this is Joel Baklit. You can find me in the Banyaga Native Facebook page. But I don't stream there anymore. Hashtag FUFB. You can find me on Twitch under Banyaga Native. I stream there more often, and on Kick.com. Lately, I've been streaming a lot of Just Cause 4 because I like the Just Cause open world games, blast everything up, cause a lot of chaos. And I've also played a little bit of a classic DOS game on PC called Terminal Velocity. JDM might be familiar with that one. Yes, I am pretty sure he enjoyed that one on DOS as well. So Terminal Velocity, Just Cause 4. Those are my games of choice. Most recently on my Twitch and my Kick.com channel. Hashtag FUFB. Find me here on Timeless Gamers Show. And regarding Retromancy Official Incorporated, you'll find that we are going to be involved in a lot of little activities all over the metro sometime very soon. And we're going to do our very best to catch them all. All right. On to you, John.
All right. Fuck you, FB. Indeed. All
Yeah.
right, Sir Viraj. Closing remarks and where can they find you?
Yeah, just like what Sir Joel just said, there's so many beat 'em ups out there, and they're so affordable now in terms of the modern ones, especially now. You can have a lot of fun. You can playing, like, for example, River City Girls on your Android phone. You can just find that there's so many other formats you can play them on. By all means, give it a go. Give them a go. Right. So where can you find me? Find me on YouTube under the Sega Mega Masters. We're taking a break right now, but there's a lot of content there if you're into Sega retro stuff. Find me on the Sega Genesis group on Facebook. And if you're in the UK, which I doubt any of you are, I do trade at various video game markets under Bygone Games. So there we go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Back to you, Sir Joe.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Viraj. Just to plug a few things. So Retromancy will be holding a Back to the Culture. It's a mini video game market that's going to be held at the Promenade Mall basement 2 of Green Hills, just adjacent to the Collective Base shop. This will be on April 20 to 21, 2024, starting from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we managed to collect all of the reputable video game resellers all across the Metro Manila region. All of them will be on one single place, uh, ranging from the Atari all the way to the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 even. So to all of you retro video game collectors or enthusiasts, uh, you might find something that might catch your fancy here. It's Back to the Culture, Collective Base, Promenade Mall, Basement 2 Green Hills, April 20 and 21. That's Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So this event was rescheduled because of some logistic issues, but this is a full go. We got the green light, April 2021. By hook or by crook, this will happen. Uh, and of course, Retromancy, specifically Shuffle Emporium, Retro Unlimited, and Studio.ph will also be accompanying the Oasis convention this 2024, um, on April 13th, this time on Metro 10th Pasig City. So it's also a like a geek convention. There will be retro video game consoles on exhibit for free place. Um, in courtesy of Studio.ph. So we will be providing that. There will be some merch as well, from various sellers and merchants, invited to the program. There will be some toys, trading card games. Uh, Just Dance Philippines will also be a part of this convention. So expect some flash mob dancing as well, especially on the floor and the stage. This will happen on April 13, 2024, Metro 10th, Pasig City, the Oasis Convention 2024. ROI Studio.ph, Shuffle Emporium, and Retro Unlimited will be in attendance. And we will also would like to give our thanks to Streamyard, one of the sponsors of the show. Start your own online live streams, webinars, podcast, online classes, and virtual presentations using Streamyard. And if you use our link that we will provide down there in this chat, by clicking on that link, you will get a 14-day free trial without the use of a credit card. So just use the link streamyard.com, FBR, with Timeless Gamers. Just use the link over there just to help the show, and try to use StreamYard so you can start the thing that we're doing right now. Next up, we also would like to give our thanks to BitMap Books. Enjoy the history of your favorite video game franchises in colored pages and anecdotes by getting a publication from BitMap Books by using the link that we are going to provide below on the chat. They have a lot in their inventory there. They got the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Mega Drive, the handhelds. They also have genre specific books that talks about the click and point games, the beat 'em up games, the ones that we just talked about in this topic, King of Fighters, Metal Slug, even the JRPG compendium. I got the me and Sir Joel already have the JRPG compendium as well. For JRPG players, we consider that as the Bible, really.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So get yourself your own book from BitMap Books. Just use the link down there in the chat. And of course, our timeless appreciation to Studio.ph, to Survey in regarding with our thumbnails, and of course our timeless appreciation as well to Sir JDM, who is constantly working on our Timeless Gamers website.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's the whole show. And on behalf of Sir Dan, Miss I, Sir Ray, who can't be here for tonight, that's the show. Thank you all so much for staying for this long. And as always, our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain
Timeless.
Timeless.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks very much for hanging around. We'll see you guys again soon. Bye.
See you next